there's an approval of a contract with Cascade Central Construction for the remodel of the Ephrata Family Dentistry Building. The contract value is $1,228,172. And the work is expected to take 4 to 5 months, beginning in April. But I've got more on this project than the update and prior to you guys signing that contract today. There's an approval of a new annexation petition for the city of Ephrata. The one that we had used before turns out it was sent to me by the city, but it was incorrect. So they sent me the correct one. It has been reviewed by legal, so it's good to go. And there's approval of out-of-state travel for myself, Keith, and Evan to attend the NACO Annual Conference and Technology Innovation Forum in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Dates of travel are July 10th through the 15th, and the estimated cost per person is about $2,400 to be paid out of the respective travel budgets. Justification for this, after NACO's technology forum that we were recently, well, we went to the legislative conference, but the technology forum, I really came away with the realization that Grant County is kind of behind on our AI policy program and training for both GCTS employees and county staff on how AI can help or hurt the county. With Keith, Evan, and I going to the more IT-centric innovation forum, we can meet with leaders in industry and the network with counties utilizing AI both successfully and those that have used it unsuccessfully. Further, NACO has a West Regional Forum specifically on AI, and that's being held in Utah. I plan later on to ask the board to allow Joe and possibly one other to go to that. I'm not planning on going to that. And then with my thought process behind that being, with Keith, Evan, and I going to the one in Philadelphia, we'd like to get the AI program policy started. Joe goes to the specific one on AI with one other member of GCTS in November. He comes back, kind of works as a checksum. We're moving in the right direction. We have the programs policies built, and then it's kind of a kicker for him to then just take that program and keep moving forward with it. And I think it's a great way to go. I think to see, between now and November, or between July and November, how we can get the program started going, I think it's a solid base to work from. And I think it's a critical component of our knowledge base when it comes to AI. AI is steaming across the country and around the world, and it's becoming an integral part of people's data centers. It's even baked into hardware that you're buying now. So if you don't really get in front of it, you're going to have issues with it. So it's becoming something that you have to, kind of like cybersecurity, you have to have your hands on it. You have to be working with it all the time. Otherwise, I think we're going to get in trouble. So I'm hoping that the board will approve those today. Current contracts, we're waiting on the prosecutor's office to approve the barn water and barn electrical projects. Blair's already okayed those with the insurance aspect of that. Tomorrow we have bids opening for the site work and for the bleachers and fairgrounds mowing. And I'm hoping that we can still do the bleachers. So it took a long time to get that that set of plans approved. Okay. And all along I was asking, and I mean, I'm not, it's a thing, but it's a big thing. I was asking Jerry, hey, do you think you're going to see, do you see any changes on those plans or anything like that? He goes, no, it's all pre-manufactured. It's good to go. Well, he did put a note on them, and he put a note specific to the slab that we're putting on the site prep, or for the site prep bid. It's a big slab, and he wants it freeze protected with a turn down footing, 18 inches with a full width 12-inch footing below that all the way around the slab. It's adding a ton of expense. So I had to delay the bid opening because that set of plans finally came out about 2 days before. It came out on a Thursday, and the bid opening was the following Tuesday. There was no way that anybody could reprice that and get a new bid bond. So I delayed the bid opening a week, and now that bid opening is tomorrow, and we'll see what those costs are. With the changes that the rodeo made to the bleachers, I don't know that we're going to have enough money to do the project the way they want. So I'm waiting for the bid opening Tuesday, and then we may have to have a meeting with the.
Is that like a month? Is that what they call a monolithic pour? Where you have your
Yep, yeah, and they'll have to, yes, they'll have to pour those footings and the walls, or the turn down footing, and then that slab. So, but my concern is we have $250,000, and the cost of the bleachers with the modifications the rodeo association made are 180,000, leaving us about 60,000 for this concrete and the
So
site prep.
can the rodeo pay for their modifications? They do have some revenue.
Well, so all of that was coming from the direct legislative grant. So once I get the bid openings tomorrow, then I'll have to meet with the rodeo association and say, okay, this is where we're at. You know, we had 250,000 for this, and this is how much the work's going to cost with this note that came from building and planning. So
was there a reason for the footings and the slab the way it's?
He's calling it frost protection. So it's a structural. I'm taking it from the perspective that he's trying to make sure that the structural integrity of the slab doesn't ever have any issues. You know, the slab is going to be out there open to the elements all the time. It's going to have bleachers sitting on it. The original set of plans just show a 4-inch, slab on the ground. And I think he just looked at that from a code perspective and said, you're going to have to do this because of the climate zone that we're in. So I haven't asked Jerry about this. So he got those approved, and then he went off. I think he was gone for a week, so I haven't had a chance to touch base with him. So the note's the note. If that's what's going to be required, I don't care about the note. I care about the cost that it added, because I know that's a lot of material, a lot of concrete, that you're adding to the project. So,
but the modifications of the bleachers should, if they're short, either it might be a little too late to go back to the original and simplify it, but it was ADA, which would be really handy to have.
So yeah, he put they added VIP seating in the front.
Okay, so VIP is not an ADA, but
no, and there were 2 ADA spots, I believe, or 4 ADA spots, but that's one of the things we'll have to look at when we get the bid opening, tomorrow. Sit down with the rodeo association and say, so.
They've always been really good partners, so I'm sure they.
Well, there's 2 things they need to look at. The first being is you asked for this modification. We were easily going to get this done this year because the set of bleachers they sent were prefabricated. They're just cookie cutter. So as soon as you decided to change that, there's no guarantee on the timing of it, so, and also on that modification, the building department looked at the handrails, and they're telling the bleacher company they have to change the height of the handrails in these bleachers, which is legit, so.
So they've added some expense in that regard.
Well, I haven't added expense as much as we've added time. And so it may be going back to the rodeo association and saying you can't have the VIP seating, you can have the bleachers, but make a choice or come up with the money, come up with the extra money. So
do we have any idea what that might be?
We'll know tomorrow after the bid opening. We'll have a complete cost, because I know what the bleachers cost. So it was the site work that was the outlier. We weren't sure what that was going to be. So we had a budget number of about $47,000, but that was before this note came out and he had to do this.
Right. So is the company that's going to do the slab, or they doing all the site prep as well?
Yeah, that's all part of the same bid. So
could we have Public Works do some of that site work?
They'll charge me for it. They won't do anything like that for free. So, but that's not to say that we can't, we do have some money out there in the track removal, and we could say, well, we just won't remove 100% of the track this year. And so we'll see. All of that can be discussed. So, but it'll be interesting. We're also in the fairgrounds mowing. So, that had been a 2-year contract. When I put it out to bid this year, I made it a 5-year contract just to make it a little bit easier on all of us. So we'll see. I've got more interest in it this year. It was a 2-year contract. I was hearing from 2 people every year. I was hearing from KJ's and Durkeo's. And KJ's was always low. So, but with the 5-year contract, I've gotten calls from 8 or 9 different landscape folks. So it'll be interesting to see what we come up with. Projects yet to bid, the ADA path, but that'll be coming out pretty soon. The fence line, I had it out to bid and I canceled it because I found out during this bid process that I don't know as much about chain link fences as I thought I knew about chain link fences. I thought I had a pretty good spec out there, and I had a lot of people calling me, and they were all mixing up the terms as far as how much galvanizing is used, the weight of the fabric, you know, the chain link fabric, how we wanted the poles done. You know, I had specified at least the corner posts be Schedule 40, so they were stout, and people were questioning that. But every time somebody asked a question, and I got dozens of them, they were all talking to specifics about how it should be changed, but specifics that would give unfair influence to the company asking the question. You know, so it was, it quickly got to the point where it's like, okay, I have to cancel this and I have to get a different specification and put that bid out again in a couple of weeks. So that's what I did. And then I started looking around. Turns out, Sean O'Brien at City of Ephrata has a really good fencing spec that he has used in various capacities, City of Moses Lake, City of Othello. He said he's never had an issue with it, and it's always turned out really well. So I have to go over there today and get that from him. So he's going to share that with me, and then I'll take a look at that and probably try and get it rebid, if not today, tomorrow sometime, so that we can get moving on that project. So the project's moving forward. If you sign the contract, the new CSHR building. So, and I'm going to update you on financials on that. So in a moment, staying with other projects, I have asked Chris Reese to drop the offer on the property off of Kittleson Road for the coroner's office. I need to follow up with him today because typically I hear back from him, you know, within 24 hours. I still haven't heard back from him, so I'll call him today. I didn't get a chance on Friday. And I want to talk to the city about the development work that has to be there. Right. The architect has secured the services of David Bodine of Turner Townsend to help us get through the PRC process like we did for the jail. We should be receiving our GCCM authorization in May, but between now and then we can still work on the design, and I'll be scheduling a meeting soon with the architect and the coroner so that we can discuss that design and start doing the new programming. What we can't do between now and May is get any further than 30% of design. And then, because if we do that, then the PRC will say you're too far along and we can't give you this designation. So, and that brings me to the jail and the document that I gave you. So this is one of the nice things about GCCM is the level of detail you can get. If I get one of these every month, when we get monthly billing from Lighted Construction. This is the billing for the entire project, and it's really granular, and it's broken out into dozens of different I'll call it sub-menus, but sub-areas of the project. And to give you an idea where some of our savings are, if you look at the very first category, the GMP-01, the hazmat and environmental cleanup, that's 100% billed, but you'll see there is a GCCM contingency of $7,101. That is there in case there's something happens that they didn't plan on in their bids or their programming for that project. They didn't spend any of that, so that's savings on the job that just, you know, we get back in the end. You'll also see that they're on the NSS's negotiated support services. There's a ton of those in a project like this where you have to negotiate a contract with somebody. And typically you'll end up spending a little bit less than you thought, which is what the case was here. So they billed, my understanding was we were billed out 100% on that, but we only spent 69% of that estimated value. So that difference between the estimated value and what's actually been billed, and that is closed out now, is again, that goes on the project. Another one too, if you look at the early site work package, line number 12, they had a contingency there as well at $81,000 that they didn't use. That just tacks on to the savings. And a really positive note for now, if you go down to line 35, This is during this phase of construction, the general contractor's contingency of $3.491 million. To date, they've spent 0% of that. So these are, but this is how granular it is. You can go from page to page to page. And what's amazing to me is, and I think we have like Stevens County talked out of this. Stevens County was going to hard bid their jail project. And when you think about hard bidding a project, you have to have every one of these lines dialed in and hope that everybody's thought of it.
Right.
And I can't imagine trying to think of every one of these lines and every one of these items and making sure that it was not only individually budgeted, but then also individually tracked. So I'm really happy with that process, and that's the direction we're going with the morgue, so we can be that granular with that as well. Going to move on to policy a little bit. So I'm hoping to learn more about Lexipol. In my discussions with Blair, he had stated that the policies were already complete, and I need to see the procurement policy. So I'm behind on updating that policy, so I'm looking forward to Lexipol and what it does, but I don't know anything about it. I think it would be good, I think, if I can suggest, having Blair and maybe Decorah at the next department head luncheon talk about Lexipol and what it's going to do for us. So if there is a procurement policy that all of a sudden is canned in there, I think we just need to look at it and make sure that, well, people need to know that that policy is changing. If it is, I mean, I could be completely wrong. And then we also need to look at it and make sure that it fits whatever policies we had in there that the board wanted or directed and things like that. So, but hopefully, I just think it'd be a good idea for people to learn more about it, because it's I think you guys approved it last week, so it's coming. Things are going well at the fairgrounds. The leadership train, the HPL, I think is helping. I do speak with both Jim and Chris separately regarding this and how it's going. And I think after they graduate, I plan to have regular meetings to discuss the ways we can keep that training going. I may even try and include my own version of Leidig's team charter out there, or maybe even with others. I think that was really helpful. And in discussing, I think Chris is getting a ton out of the training. Some of Jim's comments have been positive about that relationship and how things are going. So I think it's helping. I'm looking forward to that. So now I'm going to turn back to the CSHR building. So as we were going over our finances for the CSHR building, we did have carryover from last year, and I had asked the board to approve an extra amount this year to cover what I thought it would cost. What I didn't realize in preparing that was that we spent a little bit more last year than I thought when we were prepping the building, demoing it, doing abatement and things like that. So you have a contract that you're approving today, but our budget is about $51,000 short of that. But that being said, I think we're going to find that in a number of different ways. So I do have grant funds coming back to us. And I think worst case, I may talk to Daryl and see if there's a fund where if I had to do a budget extension, I'd be able to do a budget extension to cover that excess cost. The doggone it, I lost my train of thought. Oh, give me one moment. I can't believe I just lost my train of thought.
Okay, so I'm just looking, we've got 50K short, you think, on that building?
Yeah. Dadgummit. I apologize. I just had it in my, I just had it in my head where I was going to get that funding from. Oh, well, so one of the things I would like to think about doing, if it's okay with the board, is we have carryover from the morgue in the amount of $500,000 from last year. I might borrow from that and then pay that back as we see the savings from other projects, if the board's okay with that. Otherwise, I'll have to look to Daryl to find a fund where I can do a budget extension for that.
Since it's on the comp plan, you have several options without taking it out of current expense.
Yeah, and I'll talk to Daryl about that. The big thing though is I want to make sure the board's aware that you're about to approve a contract that I'm a little bit short on, but I'm confident that I'll find those funds, and hopefully without having to do a budget extension.
I don't know, the rate of interest, you sure you don't have interest in there?
Well, and we've looked at the numbers a number of different ways, so I mean, we're doing a remodel on a building and it's coming in at about $300 per square foot. The architect expected it between 250 and 350, so we're right there. I don't know that I could go out and do another bid and get any lower. Our bids were competitive on it, so I think the contract amount is right as per market conditions. I don't think you're not going to get a lower bid anywhere else. So
This is for Cascade Central Construction?
yes, yes. We also have, so again, last year we did a historic restoration on the courthouse. And we received a grant for that of $150,000 from DAHP. We have not received those funds yet either. So, but that was for last year.
Jim, if you were, sorry, Jim,
That's okay.
Tom, if you were to request interest, I think the county pays 3.5%, is that right, in the pool? You would have gotten $42,000 interest off of that amount.
I'll
So
talk to Daryl.
go talk to Daryl, there may be interest
Okay.
reserves or interest income from that.
I'll talk to Daryl. But also, you know, I'll talk to Mandy. The monies were expended last year, you know, on the historic project. So when we get the money in the following budget year, she either does a journal entry to pay that money back, or it goes into the general fund, and we could also use that on the building. So I want to talk to her about that. I will be taking a sick day on April 3rd to get the second cataract removed out of my secondary cataract removed out of my left eye. And May 5th is the John Bernard Golf Tournament. It's a Monday. I'll be taking that day off. And then April 9th to the 11th is the Washington State Association of County Administrators Annual Conference that I'll be going to there. And then after that,
Is that Lake Chelan?
it's in Leavenworth.
Okay.
Yeah. After that, I'll talk to the board a little bit more about, you know, what the county administrator program, county manager program, if I'm getting value out of going to that and being affiliated with it. We'll just talk with the board more.
Do you feel like did you go last year?
No, I didn't. So it was interesting. You know, I'm not a county administrator.
But you act as one. I mean, we treat you like one.
Sometimes, not full. I mean, if you think about the job duties, I get my toes wet. Really,
I think you get a little more than your toes.
So, when we were at Wasac, Curtis Stanhauer, I don't remember his last name, asked me if I would affiliate with the group, and then we decided, okay, cost $100 to affiliate with the group. But if I'm going to be affiliated with them, I want to make sure that I'm going to spend the time and the money that we're getting value for it. So, and if we're not, there's no need for me to.
June used to attend.
She wasn't on the list.
Previously?
Yeah, because
Maybe she wasn't, she would just attend the conferences.
So the listed county administrators were Kirk and Michelle Jaderman.
Lately, okay. But
For the last 3 years. So
Okay.
I
This
spoke
was
to the
about
group and they
like
said it
5
hadn't been updated in like 3 years, and it was
Okay.
Kirk and Michelle. So neither one of them knew that they were, and why would they? You know, so but it's a very active group. There's I think a lot of knowledge there, you know, but what I can glean from it. With that, that's what I have for you this morning. Any questions, Rob? Any questions?
Do you have any issue if the contract's held until the fund's determined? Because personally, I don't really want to approve it myself if
Right.
the fund is not determined.
Yeah.
I mean, you get way more leniency than anyone else, in my opinion, would on that.
Yeah.
That's still my.
Yeah. No, I can just tell the contractor that we're going to delay. Well, it's not even really a delay. I'll let them know that it's going to be another week or so before, so we can figure out.
Unless you find out the next day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but no, you're right. You know, even if I had an issue with that, I couldn't have an issue with that because I would agree with you. You know, so.
I would
Yeah.
think Daryl should be able to figure it out pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Will do. Okay. Thanks. Morning, gentlemen.
All right, we're going to go to recess until 9 a.m. when we are back for Development Services. Good morning, it's 9 a.m. and we're here with Development Services Director Jim Anderson Cook and Fire Marshal Nathan Pawlowski. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Chairman Jones. Thank you, Commissioners. We're here today to provide an update for development services for last week. So not on the agenda, but wanted to speak quickly about progress on the open position for the building officials. So we opened that requisition up last week. Internally, it closed last night. So we will be checking in with Human Resources and to see what that candidate pool looks like at the close of this update, and we will advise the commissioners accordingly. But hopefully, we've got a good pool, and we'll have some candidates to select from. So we're excited to get that position filled. On the agenda, I want to update the board on FSEC meetings that we had last week. So on Tuesday, Benton County and Grant County had the privilege to meet with members of FSEC, specifically in and around their process for permitting wind and solar projects. And this was just in an attempt to understand and align with, the county process and FSEC's process. And we were glad to understand that both are very, very similar. And specifically what I wanted to come out of and get understanding is how they handle these projects from a decommissioning and a reclamation point of view, because that's where we are now headed, specifically with our Quincy Valley Solar Project. We're negotiating a developer's agreement and trying to gain understanding, what those reclamation and decommissioning costs are and how to secure bonding to make sure that in the event that facility were to go bankrupt and the county be left, holding the bag, so to speak, do we have enough security to make sure that we can put those properties back to their original state? And come to find out, we're headed down, pretty good path. We've got, open dialogue happening with the developer, numbers that are being produced that are actually higher than similar facilities that FSEC was able to share with us, in that meeting on Tuesday. So we have a follow-up meeting with the developer on April the 2nd, and hopefully we'll get those wrapped up. So it was very, very productive meeting in that regard. And then on Friday, Commissioner Burgess and myself had the privilege of meeting with Kurt Beckett, the chair of FSEC, here in the hearings room, and I thought that meeting was also productive. Kurt is attempting to I think, gain understanding of the local government's ability to permit these type of renewable projects locally, and I think is attempting to set up, I think, a Keep It Local initiative, if I heard him correctly, within FSEC, so that projects don't necessarily have to run through their office, because once they get there and get behind their doors, there's no going back. So I thought it was pretty good. We had a follow-up conversation on his drive home, where he talked about their process of taking these things cradle to grave and the expenses that is incurred. So anyway, it's a really positive relationship. I think starting to happen. We're excited about that. Big portion of today, what we wanted to talk to you about is we'd like for you to take into consideration an ordinance that we have drafted to consider a moratorium on accepting and processing and reviewing and issuing of any and all permits for major and minor utility developments and unnamed utility uses, but providing for exceptions. And those exceptions would be to allow for the applications of substations and transmission lines, if any, for an initial 6-month period. And that would be specifically to help develop ordinance around varying sizes and types of wind energy conversion systems, which is often known as wind farms or WECs.
So I just want to, we want a moratorium on the utility applications, excluding substation and transmission. Okay,
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So if a developer were to apply this morning, for a wind project or a WEX project, they could apply for underneath either a major or a minor utility in Grant County. So a minor utility would be anything under 5 kilowatts, and a major would be anything over that. Excuse me, 10 and under is a minor, and 10 and over is a major. And the thinking there is that, you know, a single turbine is usually to about 2.5 megawatts. I can't imagine why anybody would install a single turbine, but we just wanted to make sure that we were covered in all instances. And then, you know, unnamed utility uses is how somebody would apply for a transmission line. But we wanted to also be sure that, you know, there wasn't a way by which you could apply for a turbine under unnamed uses. However, we wanted to allow for the likes of the local PUD to be able to apply for a transmission line. So we didn't want to preclude them from being able to do that. So if the board would take that under consideration, it would be appreciated.
And when will you be bringing that forward to us? Sooner than later?
It is forward today. I have emailed originals to the clerk's office.
Okay.
And I have sent it to Barbara for review, and I've attached the email. It was drafted by our outside counsel, our land use attorney, but under the review of the PA's office, and you'll see that Barbara has reviewed it and approved as well.
Is it on our consent agenda for tomorrow? I didn't remember seeing it.
Well, and that's.
Does it need to be on the consent agenda?
No, it should not be on consent. So it needed to be, it needs to have its own record. So that's what we're doing right now is creating its own record for consideration.
So we can move forward on this, and then we have a hearing within, I think, 60 days?
It's within 60 days, that is
Okay.
correct. So as soon as, as soon as it is signed, I'll work with the clerk's office to set up a hearing.
So we
A public
have the
hearing.
opportunity to sign it right now? here.
Correct, yeah.
I'm just verifying with Barb and Caitlin.
Yeah, we don't,
Sorry, Barb ran to the bathroom. The last I had spoke with Barb was that for the ordinance, you would need a hearing first. So I guess when she gets back, I can ask her for some clarification.
yeah, we don't do this very often. I went back to previous records,
Or we
and
can start without a hearing,
Yep.
sign it, move forward with the hearing.
when,
I think we did it with Damien once.
correct, the last time we went into a solar and wind ordinance, it was done during our regular update. And then we held a public meeting or a hearing after.
So if I go to jail, please bring me
Well, hopefully there's no jail time served. So, but again,
snacks and a thick mattress.
yeah, we went back and yeah, Barb, correct us, please. But we went back to the prior solar and wind, and it was done during our weekly update. Yeah,
We didn't really do everything correct back then, I would say.
and we might not be doing it correct now too. So I would pause.
For them.
I would pause.
So we
So,
are doing it.
but we're
We're doing it. Yeah, we're on board. We're on board. We're supporting you.
yeah.
So it may go to jail, but
And that's all I had for this week. It was a great week last week. Well, I mean, I will add that there was, so Fish and Wildlife put out some guidance, some solar and wind guidance on Thursday, and it's been going back and forth for about 9 months, but they put out some guidance last Thursday that had some pretty onerous ratios when it came to some fee and lieu options, which, you know, went up to high as 5-to-1 and 4-to-1. And that guidance is specifically linked to our solar ordinance. So we being Grant County and our consultant fired off an email to Fish and Wildlife asking for a meeting and online meetings where we can run some fake scenarios by them, to take a scenario, well, it's actually a real scenario, a large-scale solar project, and apply their 2025 guidance to it and an in lieu fee, what their in lieu fee would look like under this project scenario. And they've responded and are going to get back to us this week. So we're hoping to maybe shape their
Change your mind, maybe.
yeah. And if we can't, then we're going to have to take a hard look at our solar ordinance and the language that requires developers to that points them to that guideline and away from our critical area ordinance that we worked so hard at developing last year. So we might be doing this again to get that straightened out. So more to come on that. So when Barb lets us know, if you could shoot that over to me, that would be wonderful.
Barb,
Barb is back. We're just talking about it a little bit more. I guess Jim, when you had sent your agenda over, I did not realize that you were hoping for the commissioners to sign this at your update. So the agenda that was posted online was not very transparent of what this is that is getting signed.
I saw that. Yeah, it was just consideration of an ordinance.
Yes, if I had known that you were wanting this signed, I would have put more information there so that way the public had the opportunity to see it. Barb and I are still talking it over and trying to figure it out because we did not research this at all. Because again, we didn't realize that you were asking for it to be signed here.
So, and it was at the suggestion of council that a separate record be created to take this into consideration. So, and not to place it on consent. So I'll let you work that through. I'm going to be gone at a VSP meeting for the rest of the day today, so I won't be able to attend consent, but maybe it could be a walk-on, I suppose, but I'll let you work that through.
We will keep you posted.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, well, I guess more to come.
You have two yeses.
you're pretty much
Yeah,
done.
we'll pause.
I'll give you this and you can decide what you want to do.
Pause. Well, thank you for your due diligence. I appreciate it.
That's it for you guys?
Yeah, I
For the day.
Okay,
appreciate it.
we'll go into recess for 2 minutes.
All right.
Good morning, it's 9:15 a.m. and we are here for the Commissioner's Office update.
I forgot to bring my agenda and everything down here. It's all sitting upstairs. Okay. I didn't even print the pending decision spreadsheet
We don't need that today for this meeting. We usually do it
for
tomorrow.
later. Yeah, I usually try to print it for you for the day, so I'll get that printed for later. Review of upcoming hearings. Do we have any hearings? Because I was gone all last week.
I believe it's just one. The request from Public Works to establish a new chapter in the Grant County Code, 10.5, walkway surface maintenance along county roads. And then there would also be an ordinance with that. And that is tomorrow at 3.
Find the information under your website, under public hearings. Okay. Review of this week's meetings. Do you have any questions about your agenda this week? I haven't even seen the agenda. Oh, cute. Anything exciting?
No, it's busy.
Yeah.
I emailed Tom Beckwith and I told him that we need more advance notice in order to, wrangle up 60 people, not 1 week. Because I literally maybe got like 3 callbacks. So I don't know if people are on vacation or gone or I don't know, and only one person answered. So, and then obviously some events and friends like that, they were all fine, but the city and government employees are like, they were not easy to get a hold of. The only person that was easy to get a hold of is Ray Towery. So shout out to Ray for answering
this
his
for?
office phone.
It's their workshop sessions that the consultant wants to have with each of these groups of people, so he can, it's supposed to be an opportunity for him to get information from them, like what kind of research they've done about this,
Is
so
it
he's not
tourism
reinventing the
stuff?
wheel. Yeah, it's for the tourism master
Okay,
plan.
I just was wondering what, okay.
Cindy, I wanted to ask, tomorrow at 3, there's the DA Davidson due diligence continuing disclosure information. The commissioners are not required to attend it. I know Rob had said that he wanted to go just to be a fly on the wall. Did you want to attend also?
We don't need to attend.
Okay.
Are we supposed to be there?
No, it's just,
Okay.
they're gonna be
No, I'm
using the
fine.
hearing room,
Okay,
and
I'm fine not
I just need to
attending.
know if it needed to be
No,
recorded.
I'm okay not attending.
Can I speak at it real quick?
Yes. By all means.
On Wednesday, I'll probably miss the agency's tourism workshop. Because I have a meeting I was supposed to be at in like 30 minutes that I forgot about, so I have to reschedule it.
That is busy Wednesday, Thursday, isn't it?
Yeah, Friday, I'll be in Davenport, so I won't be able to get McMillan's retirement party.
Next on the agenda is resolution from South Grant County for film making. I emailed that to you the previous week. Have you had a chance to take a peek at it?
I remember it from last week, but I don't remember it this week.
Yeah, because I was gone last week, so I sent it to you the week
Yeah, I
before.
remember
Yeah,
parts of it, but I don't remember it.
it kind of feels more like a proclamation. And then previously the board had decided not to do these types of proclamations, but that's your decision. And then next week, I don't know if you've all had a chance to look at all of Barbara Durbeck's comments on the contract that Paramount Pictures wants to do. I'll admit that the comments were confusing for me on how to amend the Paramount contract. And since we can't send the legal email to the others unless it's going to void the attorney-client privilege. So I didn't know if you've all had a chance to review it. It just was kind of confusing for me.
That contract to me.
Yes, it wasn't last week, but it was the week before. Barbara Durbeck also, the email probably would have come from her. I think she emailed you directly. There were quite a few comments on the contracts.
We went over that 2 weeks ago too.
But I don't believe they're in contract with the county. When they weren't contracted with the county.
Yeah, there was there's one that we use and then the one that Paramount proposed that they want to use. Barbara Durbeck added comments to the Paramount one. So I guess the first question is, do you want to do the resolution or a proclamation to enhance filmmaking in Grant County?
Look at the use and indemnification agreement first, and it still has June's information on it, so it was never updated.
Our contract? Oh, yes, that's the last one that we've used in the county.
Okay,
It's
so-
been quite some time.
Okay, so
But it's
we-
the other one that Paramount is proposing that Barbara Durbeck added all of her comments to.
Okay,
Because Pam would like to use Paramount's contract instead of ours.
and so I am a little confused here. I didn't realize we were contracting. I thought it's through the chamber, so we were basically out of it. So I need to do a little more research because when we talked to the prosecutor's office, it's really South Grant County. It's not.
It's
South
to
Grant County.
use county property, and that's why
Okay,
Pam
so-
Thorson, she's been emailing you and I think.
That's why I've kind of like taken a back seat because I didn't think it was our contract, our deal. We were just kind of on the sidelines.
So South County's
They want,
contracting with Paramount, but they want to use Grant County property to do some of the work.
which would be hence the contract to use county property, yeah. That's the way I understood it. So I don't know if a meeting with Pam Thorson is necessary, maybe Cindy, you
Well,
could,
we can, I think the best thing, instead of pulling Pam in, I need to get clarification from our legal team.
Okay.
Because I thought it was not through Grant County, it was through, South Grant County Chamber. So I will follow up.
yeah, that would be
But that was
fantastic.
just, I don't know if anybody else's thoughts on that. It's what I believe in
No, I
the
agree.
conversation. So I think,
I assume that that's why
Rob,
Pam
you-
came to the county because she wanted the county to contract with.
Rob, your thoughts on this?
I understood it as using county roads and things, not contracting with the county. This update was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, though, that Barb Dorbeck gave, so
Right.
I
Well, that's kind of
don't
what I,
remember.
but we will follow up because
That would be
Understanding that South Grant County was gonna contract with those guys to do it. But then they wanna use some of Grant County's properties.
Which is then why they want the contract
photographs
with
and things
the
like that.
county, yeah. That was my understanding, so maybe
And I thought legal was all over how they were doing it, not gonna use their contract, they were gonna use theirs, and
Yeah, so if South Grant County wants to sign a contract with Paramount to use for their contract, and then we have an indemnification agreement with Paramount as well for our property. I see where that could work.
don't know, good question 2 weeks ago when it got brought up. But we'll bring it up in legal today.
So then the board still needs to decide, do you want to do the resolution? Board of County Commissioners to support efforts to enhance filmmaking in Grant County through a public-private partnership concept with studios and production teams.
I don't have a problem with that, as long as we have a harmless indemnification agreement.
And see, this would be more like just a, yay, we're gonna support filmmaking,
we
so.
kind of got away from the proclamations, the feel-good proclamation. But it was a board decision.
GPT, isn't it?
Yeah, this little chat GPT she had drafted. It's quite amazing. I didn't realize it was so good.
It's amazing what they could do. Anything else?
No, I just need a decision if you want
I don't
to.
care about the proclamation.
I think it's good for the county to allow it, but as long as we do it.
Yeah, and we stopped doing these types of things, or the board has stopped doing these types of things, so you just need to decide if you want to tell Pam where we don't do the feel-good proclamation resolutions,
Is there another way to do it? Besides the proclamation?
just, I guess, signing the contract, if that's,
Issue we have with the proclamations is people will make requests of have it be happy day or
On my birthday.
see my birthday as a holiday. So then it's easier just to be like, if it's just a feel good thing that doesn't do anything for business, then we just stop doing it.
Then we probably shouldn't open that door again, that shouldn't we? Because if we do it for one, we're gonna do it.
I was trying to remember which proclamations we've gotten the most recent. I think it was like making a birthday, the happy
Yeah.
day, and
kindness
Kindness
day.
That's a
Kindness day,
kindness.
that's what it was, yeah. So I don't mind telling Pam that the board is not going to do this type of. Cindy?
Yeah, I think we'll probably just stick with the current policy or proclamation policy that we. I don't know if it's a permanent policy.
Rob,
I
Kevin?
agree.
But I'm in total support of movies getting shot in Grant County if they benefit the local economy.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I just wrote it down on my
Write
calendar.
that up
so
in
we
Chat
can-
GPT and tell her thank you.
Yes. That was quite impressive how ChatGPT did that. Wow. Okay, so we can talk more after you speak with the prosecutor's office.
What is Chat GPT?
It's an AI
It's an AI
software. People
It's like
use
your
it to write.
Google.
You can tell them to do a resume for you.
Yep.
Well, then they'll
And
pick it
they'll
out.
just print, they'll just,
It might not be accurate, but she'll look good.
Cover letters and everything.
yeah.
All right, well, I need to complete my speech for Kamaki,
You
Well,
go-
like
Chat
Chat
GPT.
for my
They do it
1,000
for you.
people that I need to present.
No, the best Chat GPT is cool for writing your speech and then saying, you know, put this in a fifth grader's language or eighth grader's language or a professor's language at 5 minutes.
Wow.
Or cut this down to 500 words or 500 characters. Or
they can do
Chat
everything.
GP.
Chat GPT.
I like that. Tom uses the X Twitter version.
Well, Tom always has,
And
he
it's
writes
pretty-
a lot.
It's pretty good. He showed me that one.
Is that a paid for one?
No, it's free right now. I'm guessing it's going to be paid for once everyone starts using it.
Yeah, I can see that too. Wow. Who knew there was so many different things? BOCC challenge coins.
Hey, Rob, you had thrown out that number 500 last week. Cindy, you had also said 500. So I got a quote for 500 challenge coins. They will waive the fee for the new mold. If we get 500, it is $682 per coin with a total of $3,870.42. And that is including the estimated cost for shipping. We definitely have enough money in the LTAC funds to call it tourism promotion things, since you handed out at tourism things. There's a way to swing that. Are you guys fine with
How many
that?
did you order last time, Barb?
Jerry, I apologize, Jerry did it.
It was long enough ago that the mold expired, so it was over
$6
3 years
a
ago.
piece seems expensive, but honestly, in a year, I'd probably only give out like 5.
Well, and do we need to get LTAX approval to do that?
I don't know. For the swag stuff, we usually just ran it by them and then they approved it. I don't know. How much budget do you have for those items left?
12,000. We haven't
So,
used any yet
yeah,
for
so we
2025.
We can do it off the
Well, it'd be really
12,000.
wonderful if I could bring a few to Japan.
I have 5
Yeah, no, I
for now.
think
We've
it's
got the
good.
city council members for Kamaki City and Toyoyama.
You only
leave
have
in, like,
one left,
2
right? Or
months,
you're-
right?
He's got a couple. I
He's
have
got 5, you have
ones in
one,
my
so
desk and
six.
I don't leave for another month or so.
I'm sure they can be done by then.
Right, I say move forward on it, only because I'm feeling like I need Grant County.
Swag.
you guys good with 500?
Yeah.
Okay, I will get them ordered.
Next is the
Thank
2026
you, Caitlin.
budget schedule meeting. I didn't know if Michelle's talked more about with you. Are we still good for the first 2 weeks of November?
She hasn't been at our meeting since we brought that up, but
Maybe
I
today,
think November is best.
the first 2
We
weeks.
talked about it.
Because there was
We
something
talked
going
about
on with,
Mandy once.
Thank you, Tyler Tech, because then the week after that, you guys have Wasack.
Tyler Tech is going to be going on indefinitely, so I think it just gets held a week and we do budgets because that's
I think
It's our
wasn't,
priority.
wasn't part of the thing HR. HR wouldn't be available the week that we had chosen. So I
They
think was
thought
the
there
question
was-
was if HR had
Well,
to be
and
there?
HR hasn't always sat in. on
but they
budget
would
meetings.
like to be involved in budget this year
But I'm
since
sure they can
employees are our
send-
main, but we can't not have budgets.
Right.
So we're just gonna do it in the time that we scheduled.
I'm
I
assuming
would
they can
say.
send Dan or somebody in there, Tina
Yeah,
or
Larissa.
Jonathan.
Also, the question was, do you want to handle it like we did last year, or do you want to go back to the time, how we did it before? Doing
I like the
groups,
scheduled times.
the 8 to 4, and you throw everyone's names in there, or do you want to schedule them all? So that decision needed to be made as well.
You said scheduled.
I like them scheduled.
Scheduled, do you want it rolling like last year? Do you,
I actually like it rolling, but Robbie hates the.
I didn't
rolling,
like
so-
it rolling, no.
Kevin Middle, do you want?
I have no idea because I've never been in one.
Neat. So the way that we did it last year was that it was just a one chunk of time, like from 8 to 11 budget meetings. And then we posted it that way on the agenda.
You
So
had
then-
estimated times.
Yep,
You're right.
everybody was given estimated time, so if their time finished early, the commissioners could roll into the next one. We would then have to call the person that was supposed to come next to come in
For the
early.
most part, they were
part.
here. Otherwise, you have like a 9 o'clock to 9:30 or 9:15. So if you're done in 5 minutes, you're waiting 10 minutes. And then sometimes we go over and sometimes we are,
I will say, as that having had that be my first experience with the budget meetings, it was very difficult to follow
I'm
the
gonna
rolling
say
schedule.
our budget was very difficult to follow, but I don't know if it was necessarily all of the fault of the scheduling. We just, it was probably one of the most chaotic budgets that I've ever sat through last year. And I can't say it was just because of the time.
So how many people do you have coming through
That's
during that
it.
time?
I mean, like, I think last year in a
budget.
3-hour chunk, there were
So Kevin.
5 or 6.
Every budget, like the commissioners should take about 5 minutes because we know our budget, but I don't know if we do. I think they're like 10 to 15 minutes to.
Depends on the department. A small department might be 10 to 15 minutes, like a WSU extension. Renew, he wants, an hour to 3 hours, depending on how far he's going. Public Works wanted, an hour window or 2-hour window or multiple funds. Sheriff's Office, they probably want a 5-minute window so that it can miss everything.
But they have the biggest budget.
Yeah, but, so it just depends on which one it is and what they need. The year before, in '23, we had tracked each one, so we knew we wanted an extra 10 minutes on this budget or 5 minutes on that one or less time on this one or an hour on that one. And then last year, we didn't have scheduled time, so it just kind of just went. And I don't know, I didn't think it was very smooth, but I don't really remember it.
So let me ask this, do we get a copy of that budget before they walk in
No,
here and we go over it?
No, that's half the problem. We used to get it something
We
like
need to have a
this.
copy of it before we even
So
have a
we used to
meeting.
get something like this a week before, which was super helpful, so you could go through and look at it.
October date probably made that hard though.
Huh?
Having it in October. That might
Yeah,
have been
but
some of it.
Katie started it where she wouldn't release it, so you couldn't even look at your modules. You couldn't even tell until we came in this meeting. And so we didn't know if somebody was 5 million over what a budget is, or,
Yeah.
I can't say 5 million, but,
I think it needs to be, we need to have a copy if we're gonna be.
so we didn't have access, but they didn't unlock them, usually until we were here, or maybe that morning. Rarely was it the day before.
We
I
need
don't
to have
even
it
know.
a week in advance, in my opinion.
Hey, if you have a day or 2 days in advance, you can usually look through it pretty fast, and you're a numbers person, you can look at the numbers, track down the numbers, where they are, and that's really all you need to see. But when you are getting piecemeal budget, you don't get to look at the whole thing. I mean, we look at the whole thing when we open it up, and that's usually the first time we see.
It's all in a SharePoint drive that they created up there, and they give you access so you can look at it.
Yeah, I didn't love the access thing that she did either. It was nice to
But
see
they've done
it.
it for 2 years like that.
So that's my opinion. I think we need to be able to see it long before the meeting.
So that'll be you working with your auditor and your chief accountant to get that together.
So you just let her know we need that.
Yeah, when you see her today for her meeting.
Who's next?
Is she next? Okay.
I think we didn't have access because they were still locking and unlocking it, and then we would have the ability to change it, and she didn't want anybody to We're gonna change it.
I don't necessarily need to change it. I just
No,
want
but
to be able
somebody
to see
may
it.
be able to.
There's a way to share it so it's view only. You can even share it so you can't download it. You can only view it in the link that's sent.
They're
We-
pretty
I would
controlling
say
on budgets.
The last 2 years have been, yes, maybe it's been 3, but very controlling where you don't get to see. Before we'd get just a big book and then we could look at it. Sometimes it came that morning, but at least we had the books, so you can kind of look ahead.
The nice thing was that her and Emily definitely knew it. But
Well, this gives them plenty of time
Well, here's Mandy right here.
to do it.
Is she next?
yeah, she's next.
Before we bring her in though, if I can go finish up so today at lunch, we have the rodeo picture to take. So we can go onto the front steps. Does that sound okay? Just taking
Yeah,
it
just
there?
do the steps.
Okay.
Or even do the top out.
Towards the
Get the
Bureau.
pillars.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. So at 12 o'clock, we'll just plan on that. I don't know how to use the office camera, so does anyone have a newer iPhone
Yeah,
that
you
we
use
can
mine.
take? Okay, we'll do that at lunch then.
I would have brought my camera if I would have thought it was today.
Is it a digital camera?
I forgot my lunch at home.
Is it a digital camera?
It is. Yeah, I turned it on and I don't know how to use it.
It's easy.
We
If I
should
had-
be able to.
Is that
we'll
I had
get
a
my
toddler.
camera.
Can
Had a
you just take it
toddler.
as a selfie?
Yeah, there you go.
Stand on the top?
I forwarded you an email this morning. You have a public comment for tomorrow. The Ukraine refugee group will be here. So I just forwarded you the information that they shared. So they'll be here tomorrow. Just received a public records request from Emily. We need all text messages, Facebook messages from all 3 commissioners from any phone for any county communications from January through March 2025
Okay, just a minute. So January
through March
1, like January 1 through March
2025.
And you need,
Emily says if you have iPhones and she can do extractions if you just want to give her your work
so it's
phone.
iPhone, text messages between these,
Yes.
okay?
Wait, it just says all text messages from all 3, so not between you, but used on your phone. From what I read it,
Oh, okay.
from all 3 commissioners from any phone for any county communications from January through March.
So if we have communication on our personal cell phone, you need that too.
If it's work related.
Okay. And
So they want the cell phone
Facebook?
bill, textbook messages, SMS messages, or Facebook messages.
but not Instagram.
Don't say it, they might make another one.
Well, I'm
Public or
just saying,
private
it's
phone.
a good thing I rarely post any. I have decided I'm
Being
pulling in
used for
my-
the business of the
My
commissioners.
my commissioner Facebook page gets a lot of messages, but I don't print them out. There's nothing bad in them.
So I believe that was Emily. So if you have any questions or to give her your phone, that would
I
be.
wish you could just like sign in remotely and all that. So we just. It's more of an annoyance than it is.
So we don't,
A
do we
lot of
need
work.
emails? We don't have to worry about that. Emily does that.
Yeah, so just, she wants the cell phone bill, all text messages, SMS messages, or Facebook message, or any other message app utilized on a public or private phone being used for the business of the Grant County Commissioners. Oh, yeah,
And who
Teams,
is
huh?
this person? I'm just curious.
I think she said his name was Brent Warnick.
The alias, I think. Friends on Facebook though.
Oh.
I remember he added me and people asked me how I knew who he was. I was like, I don't know who that is.
Okay, and really
Any afraid of?
quick update. So I was gone last week at a Washington Municipal Clerks Association conference. It was fantastic. It was at Semiahmoo Resort, that's in Blaine. I think one of the best parts of it was I got to connect with the city clerks for Quincy, Moses Lake, and Ephrata. And getting to know your constituents in your county is pretty awesome. We had a class on leading for legacy, how to get a seat at the table when you're working within an entity. We talked about your values. What are your values and what do you bring to the table? Mine was relationships and empathy. We had a great meeting on public hearings / public meetings, and they reiterated once again, when you take final action at a meeting, you need to take public comment. So what we're doing for HR now was definitely a plus to do that. So kudos to Megan Greger for doing that. Becoming prevalent at commissioners' meetings are called public comment bombers, where people sign up for public comment and then they rant on someone's council member who is sleeping with someone of the public and whatever they want to talk about, which makes us ask the question, is that disruptive? Do you silence them? It's not disruptive. If hate yelling out things are not disruptive, it's their amendment right to speak. So as long as they're not being disruptive, they can speak to what they want to. You got to give them their 3 minutes.
Set them up our street cred, Barb.
It hasn't hit here yet. Public comment 2, a lot of entities are now going to where you can only discuss Grant County business. You can't talk about anything else related to. I don't get the feeling that we're there yet, that we want to limit that type, but we want other people to be able to speak. Some entities are also saying you can only speak to whatever's on the agenda for that week. So just letting you know that that's kind of going around. We had a great meeting on understanding the appeal process. So administrative appeals for land use stuff, Board of Equalization they went over. I was really thankful for that. We also had a update to our records retention schedule. So the Secretary of State has updated all of their DAN numbers that we have to now know when we can do records retention. So that's going to affect the whole county because all of the updates are in the process now too. It went over a bit of records retention too. So like Teams chats for the county. One county got in trouble because their attorneys were using Teams chats for public, what do you call that, attorney-client privilege kind of things. It's like, should we make a policy that Teams chats can only be used for quick 7-day retention period and make that into a policy? Something to think about. And last but not least, one of the things at the very end, when talking about what you do with your love, with your job, ask yourself 3 things. Am I doing something I love? Am I doing something I'm great at? And am I making a positive impact on others? So something to think about. Is this fulfilling your life? Anything else, Caitlin? Caitlin did fantastic last week, and I want to personally thank her. Okay, do you have any questions for us?
Not at the moment.
Thanks, Barb.
You know where to find us.
Oh, I do, yeah, Mandy, you came in. Mandy, is there a possibility before the budget starts in November of 2025 for the 2026 budget of getting maybe something, either have access to the budget, because the last few years, I know you didn't start it, but we don't have access to the budget usually until we're right before a meeting or.
Yeah, we can accommodate it. Everyone should still have access too.
Okay.
I mean, that was never taken away or locked down because we have the version history to track any changes. So if anything's different, we can go look at it. So it's not an issue for someone.
Okay, maybe it's because maybe we didn't realize it because you sent it to us and that's when we, okay.
The other thing is when we go into this year's budget, we're going to be utilizing Tyler. So I can't speak to exactly how that will look. Because we might still have something on OneDrive, but you're supposed to be able to go directly into Tyler and make those budget changes. So people will be accessing the information, and then it only goes back to 2023, which I don't think we go any further with the budget anyway.
And then the discussion about how we did it last year, it was just a block of time and you put 8 departments in there.
Very chaotic.
Versus previously it was auditors is this time, commissioners is this time, this is this time, and you set the schedule versus a block, so they wanted to talk to you about that too. What your thoughts are on that?
I only know the one way, so I'd leave it up to you guys to what you guys think is better. I'm flexible.
Okay, it's 9:47 a.m. and we are here for an accounting update.
Okay, well, thank you very much. First item is Tyler. They were on site last week from March 18th to March 20th. That's John Wiggins. He does our financial side and focused a lot on process refinement and getting the GL data into Tyler. We have successfully uploaded all of 2023 and 2024 GP data for both Grant County and Special District side. We're waiting on Tyler to do a refresh so that we can reconcile the data to make sure that it is accurate. So that piece we're hoping to get done later this week. The next on-site with the financial side will be April 8th through April 10th, and focusing again on process refinement, getting project management set up and contracts set up. This week we have HRM configurations scheduled for tomorrow and Wednesday. I'll be filling in on those since we are down to just the payroll administrator. She doesn't have time to do anything Tyler related. I am also taking over updating the employee import spreadsheet, which was previously created by Rachel and given to Kirk to finalize. However, we can't seem to locate what Kirk may have done with his portion of it. I've shared it with Decorah, who will be working on it with me. But typically that would have been done by someone in payroll or HR. Any questions about Tyler? Great. Capital assets and small attractive assets. We still have not updated the policy. However, we have sent out all of the capital requests for the identifying the capital assets and small attractive assets. For the capital assets side, the due date was given as March 20th, so we're behind on that. However, we're only waiting on 3 departments, district court, maintenance, and tech services. Once we receive their information, we'll be able to finalize our capital assets report for the year. And for small attractive assets, we don't have, our due date is not until April 10th. And we've received about 54% of our departments that we've requested this information from. And anyone who actually has submitted their information has responded and indicated they are working on that list. Are there any questions about small assets? Annual report time. We've started to collect all the grant data from all the departments. That's to complete our Schedule 15 and Schedule 16 for our annual report, which is due May 31st. We have not yet requested the Schedule 6 or bank statements from the Treasurer's Office, but they do know that is an annual item we will need. We will be requesting that shortly. Changes from prior years, if they can't provide that Schedule 6, we might just do it ourselves and ask for the bank statements so that we can create that schedule so we are able to report on time. And there are many other schedules we are going to begin to compile starting now so that we're able to meet that deadline of May 31st. Positions, as you know, we're down to just the payroll administrator position. There was questions about her status as exempt and non-exempt. Since she's no longer in a supervisory role, she doesn't qualify to be exempt. So we will be officially changing that position to a non-exempt status, which will require us to retro any overtime that she worked back to January 1st. So you might see that upcoming in the next few weeks to get her back paid for those hours that she put in over 40. In the meantime, for the temporary position, we are going to reclassify our current AP clerk, Jamie Olson. She'll be an accountant so that her duties officially include backup to payroll, and she will be working full-time to assist Felicity in anything payroll related until we're through our Tyler implementation. And once we're done with that, we'll reassess our needs. We do believe we'll still be short-staffed, but that we'll at least be able to get through that implementation and have a better idea of what our manning needs are. And I think
So
that's,
what does JV do right now?
she's a AP clerk,
Okay.
so her
Is she
prime,
relatively new?
yes,
Okay. She's not ringing a bell.
from last fall. But her responsibilities have been solely AP related. And now now that she's very familiar with that side, she needs more to do. And so we started to introduce her to payroll, but her role doesn't include payroll. And so we want to make sure that we align her responsibilities with what she's actually doing. And then no finance update at this time, as we'll be having our budget and finance meeting tomorrow. That's all I have, unless there are any questions from you guys.
Quickly answer my questions in the beginning on the budget.
How do you think Tyler's going?
I mean, it hasn't been easy. I think once we get this final conversion done, I think we're over the hump for the hard pieces on the financial side. Then it's just a matter of setting up what we want for projects and grants and contracts. And I don't know if you were in the meeting last week where Holly was talking about being on par. We don't have to have those pieces fully implemented to go live. The accounting GL, we have to have that done. That has to be right before we go live. But I think we're gonna be there within a short amount of time. And once that's completed, we'll be able to focus more on those ancillary modules. And if we don't have them perfect by the time we go live, it shouldn't impact us. We shouldn't have to push back our go live date.
So you can still make those updates when it's live.
Yes. I mean, that's not the ideal, but it's workable.
Right. Okay. All I have.
Anything for you, Cindy? All right.
Awesome.
We will go into recess until 10 a.m. when we are back with youth services. Good morning, it's 10 a.m. and we are here for our youth services update.
Thank you. Right now, we actually do have 4 juveniles in detention.
Yeah, I read the news. We made the news this weekend.
Yes, and are you talking about the drive-by shooting on Friday? Yeah, so that one, they haven't really, say anything as to who was, involved other than some victims. But I am following that one since I'm assuming they might be juveniles that are drive-by shooting and they did kill the 14-year-old. So I am watching on that one as well. Even parole officers are calling us to see, do you guys know any information? Because they might be connected as well. But I was like, we have no information so far as to who the shooters were. But we're following it. So one of the juveniles, like I was mentioning in the past, he was charged with murder on the 2nd degree, and he's still with us and count up to date 556 days. Hopefully he will be resolving his case soon, but so far they say maybe another month with us. Juvenile 2nd, charged with robbery on the 2nd degree, and he has been in custody for 20 days up to date. Juvenile 3rd, charged with a harassment threat to kill, in custody for 9 days today. And this is one of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Most of the time, when there are harassment or threats to kill and they have a DV, it's a parent that is involved with that, and the parents might be the ones that were the victims. The prosecutor has been asking for no contact orders for the parents, but we're like, the parents are still responsible for the kid until they're 18. So that leave us with nobody to come get the kid if they get in detention. So we're like, we have to have, at least I think the prosecutor have to have, yes, we can put a no contact order with the family, but they have to give us a legal person that can come get this kid, or this kid is gonna be living with. Because as far as we know, they're responsible until they're 18, so they cannot just kick a kid out and leave them on the streets, because like I say, then it will come to us as to, you know, who's gonna be taking care of this kid, who's gonna be responsible for coming to get this kid. So we're trying to avoid that, but I know that this particular kid, juvenile third, is gonna actually get released today. And the prosecutor was asking for a no contact order, meaning like no responsible adult was gonna come get him. So we're kind of trying to work that out with the prosecutor to say, hey, maybe it's okay to do a no contact order, but you need to make sure that when you discuss that with the victims, especially if they're the parents, that they have alternative plans as to where this kid is gonna go, or who's gonna be the responsible adult for this kid. So that's what we're dealing with right now with the prosecutors. Hopefully that gets resolved, but we have seen that too. And I know it's different to get everybody on the same page, but a lot of protection orders in the civil case get into place. And then that's what, because a judge see this information and they say, oh yeah, we can do a civil protection order, but I don't think the questions have been asked as to if this is your kid, who's gonna be responsible for the kid if I do a protection order against him. So hopefully we will, you know, get together and, you know, brainstorm as to how we can resolve this, because I have seen this multiple times now. During this year, at least. Juvenile 4 charges with possession of stolen vehicle, and he has been in custody for 7 days. And out of the 4 kids, all of them have set bail for them. But like I say, juvenile 3 he's actually gonna have this put today, so he will be released today. Other than that, everything is going okay with the department, no problems other than the little ones that I just told you with the no contact orders when there is a parent and a kid involved. So we still have a responsible adult to take care of the kid. Any questions?
We had 5 last week, didn't we?
Yes.
Somebody got released.
Yes, so far, and we actually, this weekend, we didn't get no intakes. I think last weekend we got like a lot of intakes that I think they were released too, because we are seeing a lot of assault for DVs between, you know, family members, and those ones, they will usually get diverted, especially if they're like the first time offenders, so.
And these are all in, they're all in Chelan.
Yes, all of these kids are in Chelan, yeah, for major charges that we're seeing, but yes. So. That's
Well, I'm
it.
sure there's more to come on this weekend's little activities, so.
And then the weather is getting nice, so I think the kids are more out and about, so.
Unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately, but,
Well, maybe it's a fortunate thing, I don't know.
yeah. But, yeah, I will keep you guys posted as to the drive-by shooting that happened in Moses Lake this last Friday.
Pretty
But
crazy.
so far, we don't know who the shooters were, so. I'm assuming they're juveniles, but can't tell for sure.
Yeah, because a lot of the, I think there was a
Victims were
27-year-old
juveniles.
that was listed, but most of them were kids.
Yeah. Yeah. They haven't seen the motive either, but I'm assuming also was gang involved, so, yeah. That's it for me.
Any questions for Swahil?
No, I have no more.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll go into recess until 10:30 when we're back for a renew update. Good morning, it's 10:33 a.m. and we are here for a renew update with Del Anderson. Sorry, Dell, we were, got a public records request and we're reading our phones.
That's okay. Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Good. I just had a couple of agenda items this morning. The first, I just was on the position management roundtable. I wanted to let you know how much I've appreciated the Human Resources Department working with us on each of the positions that we've been moving through, and I appreciate the board's diligence in helping us get these positions through as well. We've had several applicants for multiple positions. I think that's gone well for us this year. I did want to make you aware of an issue that came up last week with our team here in our department. Was a few noticed that there was an open position for a remote prosecuting attorney. And I think that created some issues for us here just because going through a process of looking for opportunities for remote work with our staff, we were told that Grant County would not support remote work. And I was asked to bring our staff back into the office. And so I just wanted you to be aware of that as those decisions get made, the different impacts that can have across different departments. I do understand why that's a need. I understand when you have positions that are very difficult to fill, why that's something that looked at. But I also think that as we move into the future, moving forward, I think remote opportunities will be something we do want to look at as a county. But I just want you aware of the just the impact that had on us internally from a department. I did bring it up to Decorah and HR as well, but I wanted you just aware of that.
So Dale,
Yes.
I correct you here, you do have the opportunity to, if your employees need to work remote. But I think when COVID was over, we had a lot of employees that were working remote, and we just asked that they all come back because there were several that just would have rather worked from home, and some were doing a stellar job. And we did have some employees we found out later that really didn't till after they were gone. They really were not doing their job, and the next person that took over had to kind of backtrack and do all of their duties that they neglected. So I think we even have like employees in our office that will be working remotely, temporarily. But I think, yeah, are you talking like half your office or majority of your office?
No, the process I was looking at in the past was just that if we moved our therapist, for example, to a 410s, and we had 2 days they were on site seeing people in person, and they had 2 days on off site where they were remote and they were able to see the people on their schedule virtually through telehealth, then we could actually share offices, and they'd be able to have a rotating schedule so that we could double our clinical staff and not have to expand our facilities or have to look at other alternatives. And so that was one thing that we were looking at to try to expand our staff, expand services, expand hours, because we could go later into the evening and that kind of a rotation. But I think just the going through that process, I think we have some work to do on our end because I think we'd have to delineate which positions can and which positions can't. But there's also a fairness issue in the county of some departments being able to have something like that and some not. I know that creates issues. It's something I'm willing to work through and work on with a specific plan for you. But I just wanted you to be aware of how that just the optics of that and how that impacted the team last week.
So those remote working positions in the prosecutor's office, Del, are not getting paid the same as what they're getting paid if they're here. So if
Okay.
someone wants to take pay reductions, or if you want to outsource the position to where it's a full remote type thing at a much
Yeah.
lower wage, I mean, that's something also, but I understand kind of the concern, but at the same time, there are no lawyers locally, and it's
Right.
not paid at the same rate either. So
Yeah.
as far as sending current employees at current wage to be remote, I wouldn't personally support that because that's not what we're doing in the other office.
Sure. Yeah, I understand.
Dale, I think we're always open. So if you have a plan that for the more workspace to get more therapists out, I mean, bring it to us, let us know, and we definitely.
Okay. Will do.
Got it.
Thank you. My next was just to give you an update on capital projects. We did go through the process for having bids for our HVAC duct cleaning over in the Quincy office. And that project will start on Friday, April 11th. And that'll run into that evening, but should be done and ready to go that following Monday. So that's the first one we're really kicking off as far as the projects. We do have a large renovation project for refreshing the Moses Lake facility, and we're working with Kevin Schmidt and our maintenance team with the county to help us coordinate that and get the proposals out so that we can begin that project. So I just wanted to briefly provide an update where we're at on some of our capital projects and what's happening there. The last thing I have is my upcoming schedule over the next 2 weeks. This Friday, I'll be headed back to Baltimore. I leave at 7 a.m. and we'll arrive in Baltimore about 6:30 p.m. My conference starts at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. And this is the one where I'll be presenting on our capstone project for the fellowship that I've done through the Baldrige Institute. This capstone project, the presentation I'm doing will be at 4:30 in the afternoon. And but the project was based on the issue that we have in Grant County, where if an individual wanted substance use services, they had to drive to Moses Lake to get it. And I'm talking about outpatient services. So anyone living in Grand Coulee, Mattawa, Royal City, for their intensive outpatient program, where they attend 3 times a week, 3 hours at a time, our individuals that are receiving that service are driving back and forth from their area where they live into Moses Lake. And I've just asked that question, why can't they stay in their community and receive the service from where they are, whether that's at the office or at their house from their cell phone? And so this capstone project is based on expanding the reach of that service so our clients did not have to travel. So moving through that this year, we had every one of our sites throughout the county that is a behavioral health site licensed to provide substance use services. We are not at capacity on employees being able to provide the service at each site, but we did move forward on the Grand Coulee office having virtual access to our substance use provider group. So what that means is individuals from the Grand Coulee area can now attend their intensive outpatient programming by going to the Grand Coulee site and having their group virtually, which is facilitated in Moses Lake. The feedback from clients that have done that already is how much money they're saving in gas. They appreciate the opportunity to stay in their area and not have to travel across. One said they were selling a lot of their things each month to try to have money to pay for the gas. And so this project, so that are in a virtual perspective. We did have some challenges because we were looking at having clients receive their service from their cell phone, and we were worried about some HIPAA compliance and confidentiality related issues if other people could see from the phone who's in the group and could identify people. So that was one challenge we're faced with that we want to help resolve. Ultimately, we want everybody across Grant County to be able to access their service where they are when they need it. And so I think this was a great approach to tie this into this fellowship and project to begin to move down that road.
So,
Yes.
Jill, hard to be in a conference, when you're on your phone with it to your ear. Would there be an opportunity to, like, the earbuds or, and it would be easy for them to hide the screen, but I think more of it is
Yep.
here. So if they had the plug-in or the wireless, and you can get them on Amazon for not a whole lot. So
Yeah. I've sent the team to watch another organization see how they do this. And the concern they brought back was some individuals that are clients were attending the group in their car, and they had other people in the car with them. And when you're on your cell phone, you're attending a group from your cell phone, you can see the individuals inside the group. And so just a concern from our staff was, well, what stops someone from seeing somebody or being able to identify somebody because it's a confidential service. And I think it'd be pretty rare that would actually happen, but it was one of the concerns I wanted to try to remove barriers so we can move in that direction. But something we're definitely looking at, we're trying to create ways for the clients to receive the service. We're looking at like the AirPods and things like that to be able to help as well.
I think some of your clients don't have a driver's license either, so that would
Yep,
be,
yep.
yeah, it's
And getting bus tickets and all those things are challenges. So I was grateful to be able to use this fellowship and capstone to create a program inside the organization that I think will be effective and really help reduce the amount of time people are spending on the road trying to get back and forth between their services. So the conference lasts through Wednesday. I'll fly back into Spokane on Wednesday night. I'll be back at work on Thursday. And then Friday afternoon, I'll leave again for a portion of spring break. 2 days of that will be flexed based on the conference. And then I'll take 2 vacation days for annual leave. So I'll get that slip over to you for your signature on for Tuesday and Wednesday. And I'll be back in the office both next Thursday and the Friday after that. So and I'll be able to touch base and help coordinate some things from where I'm at. As far as the commissioner meeting next week, I can have Juan Padilla, the behavioral health director, attend this. And then the following Monday, I can have Jenny Huberto from our finance team attend, so that way we're not skipping weeks on reporting out what's happening in the department. That's all I have. Any questions or things for me?
Thank you, Dale.
No, just let me know what you can do to get are the services available in Manawa?
They will be. So we're kicking it off with Grand Coulee. We kicked that off November 1st, and it started to get the client population going, and then we're going to start moving to each site to have that availability there.
Okay, wonderful. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. It is 10:45 a.m. and we will move into the assessor's update with Melissa McKnight.
Morning, Melissa.
I guess my office is pretty boring. We just, out there reassessing properties and processing sales and working on finishing up the conversion. Getting some reporting. My reporting for the state is not working at all. It's been a fight. They were at conference last week, so hopefully I should be starting to get some answers as they go through all of their stuff today. Currently I am working on the Department of Wildlife PILT bill. So I have to go do those by hand, so it takes a little bit longer. Other than that, we're just plugging along.
Well, and how's your staff doing? Because in my leadership training, which you should try if you ever have a hot minute, one of in the cohort group, he works in your office, like the auditor's office.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, we are here to help, but we are always viewed as the enemy, and people come in just mad.
No, we're used to it.
You just
So
have to let them diffuse and
Yeah,
and try to help them. But
we use it
yes,
as a
that's
educational
true.
opportunity. This is how we view it. So we let them, and then it's like, okay, this is how it works, and here's some literature on it. Now we're pretty. We do our little team buildings internally. We have little games and potlucks and things like that. So yeah, we have a Lucky Ducky Award where we hide 100 little miniature ducks around the office and they find them.
It must be a thing now because I see them everywhere. I'm like,
Yeah, it's something fun for them to do.
How big are your little duckies? Usually
They're tiny.
Oh,
They're
you got
tiny,
little
tiny.
tiny.
And then we have a big gold glittery one that you get to write your name and what quarter it was for, and then you keep it on your desk for a quarter, and the winner does. Yeah, it got a little too competitive, but we try to. Yeah, no, we try to do that. We do something. So each quarter we do a couple of things. Otherwise, it gets old fast with the complaining. But we actually do have people who will write us nice letters, and when I get those, I make sure that HR gets them for the employee files. So
And you actually get nice letters.
we do. We actually have people who just come in to say hello and to come and see how we are and visit. 'Cause
Just because they.
'Cause
feel
we're
so bad,
nice.
'cause there's no laundry.
and we're helpful. So yes, yeah, we do. We actually do.
That's good.
So that's really all I got right now. Just a lot of work.
Always.
Gotta go back to some spreadsheets.
All right. Well, thank you for coming.
See you next week.
All right. We'll come up
Missy, I
with some
have a
harder
question for you.
questions.
Lorraine, did they ever get that? It was actually put in, it's farm ground. It was put in open space current use. Amy had been working with them. I'm trying to think of Lorraine's last name. Her husband was killed, probably 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And they don't know if that's when it happened. He was a farmer, and I'm thinking he was killed on a motorcycle wreck on Mardon, going to Mardon. Areola, Martin Areola. So Martin Areola's wife
They're
Lorraine.
working on that.
has a parcel that is on,
It's farm ground, so.
it literally has been farmed, and they said, well, okay, we see this. Somehow it got put into, taken out of current use,
It
open
never was
space.
in current use.
They believe at one time it was.
I never found a record of it.
Okay, anyway, and they've been farming it for years. It is literally farm ground. They said, well, we've got to have record of it for 3 years, so she's been paying these huge amount of property taxes on it.
Where's the farm?
Amy knows
It's,
about it.
it's on the south side of Dodson, or I-90 and
I don't think I have a parcel.
east of Dodson. It's next to Joe Garrow's property.
I'll look into it.
Justin, I was working with Justin Good on it.
I'll give you the phone number, and then you can.
I'll give you the parcel, I think I got it.
Anyway, and so I keep thinking, oh, they're working on it.
They were told they have to put it into.
But it'll take like 3 years.
Yeah, it'll be
It shouldn't
2027.
take, if it's been farmed, it shouldn't take 3 years.
Well, it would be like 27, it's like, it's not this year, and we do the taxes for next year. Here is, Justin's number. He calls for his law, who's just, I don't wanna deal with it, I'll just go ahead and pay it, but it's like, it is farm ground, and it's, so, well, we were just assuming it went through maybe when Martin passed away, when they did some of the things that got switched, taken out of current use, because I couldn't tell where the taxes went back far enough, but if you've done the research on it,
Yeah, we
but
looked
it
at it
is
and
farm ground.
couldn't find it. It was,
So if it had not been in current use, all we would need to do is file an application.
right. I
They
think
said
did
that it
want
wouldn't kick in until 2027, and it's
2027.
But if it's been farmed in the past.
yes, anyway, do you
It's
mind
probably-
apologizing, because
I'll
he's been,
step in.
well, you were out, I think, when he had come in, and him and Amy he was working with Amy, and I don't know if it got resolved, but if you give me a little jingle.
Yeah.
Kevin and I would be most
I'll give
delighted.
you the parcel number here.
Oh, you have it?
I don't have it. I don't have the parcel number.
I can find it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a bill that just dropped. They're trying to get it changed. So go back 7 years, we'll go back 4 years. Which I'm fine with that. But part of the putting in and out, because 7 years was to be a deterrent about that. But if that's the case, I will be upping my application fees because it's a lot of work to be pulling them in and out, so. Just a heads up.
Yeah, no, it's,
You guys have a good day.
You too.
Thanks, you
Okay.
too.
We'll go into recess until 11 a.m. when we're back for auditor office update. Good morning, it's 11 a.m. and we're here with Michelle Jagelin for the auditor's office update.
I'm just gonna whiz through my little notes here. We have Tyler. Tyler was on site last week. We worked with John in trying to get our 2024 transactions uploaded and make sure they're in, everything went in, and now we're just at the point where they have to do a refreshed test, and then we need to make sure everything's reconciled, and then we can move on to another part.
So is the information, Mandy, somebody said that there was a lot of information that still needed to be uploaded or entered in. Is that getting
Well,
better?
and that's kind of where now all of a sudden that part has fallen into our laps as well. The HRM, apparently somebody else was going to do, I think it has to do with salary scales, but I'm not sure. There's a big, huge payroll spreadsheet that now has to be completed that we've been landed in our plate.
Who had it before?
Well, it was on the payroll HRM side. So it was a combination of Rachel and HR working together. Well, that sheet is incomplete. So now we have to, after we have not been in those sessions, try to figure out what needs to be in those spreadsheets. So a little bit of a curveball, but we'll figure it out. Currently, though, to date for our side, the finance side, we've completed with Mandy and I together completed 253 tasks, which is a lot, and they're not easy they're not little short little tasks. It's pull the documents out, everything. DRS has been here, well, not here, but doing an audit on us for several months now. And I think we're starting to wind down on that. They have some concerns over a contract that we have with public defense. There's apparently some people in public defense contracts that are working full-time for Grant County. They're not being paid full-time as full-time employees, but they're working under a contract indicating that they're a full-time employee. So they're running those by their legal people out there to see what the options are for that.
See, and we, when they're contracted, they get paid more because they're supposed to supply their own insurance, healthcare.
But I think the issue is that they can't, the contract needs to be written to where they're not doing 100% of their work for Grant County. And they're in the contract, when I went back and looked at it, and she guided me to the part, it sounds like they do 100% of their work for Grant County, which they have an issue
I thought they
with.
had 5% that they could do. All right.
I don't know. That's what she's telling me. She hasn't came back with what their legal says. I'm also working on, I know we had talked about this before, the interest that was paid in for DRS because we're on biweekly and we occasionally have to upload late because we don't have a choice because it's biweekly. So when I started looking at it, I don't think that they were invoicing it correctly. So they've been taking it out of the funds that we take out of everybody's paychecks as we go and paying the interest. So I'm running kind of an audit on that to see how much and to see how much was invoiced and what we have to do to correct it. But I'm kind of doing that in between.
So we can't prepay the DRS. We can't, I mean, how do we do that to avoid the late fee?
It's virtually, and we try really hard not to, but the way that bi-weeklies worked, we're not paying sometimes until late into the next month, which causes us issues to try to get everything uploaded and paid by the due date. And so that's what causes us the interest. And this last one we went through, it was we had it I think we have to have 2-day buffer. It's like an ACH file you have to put in, the pay date. We got it in just in time.
And we can't switch to, instead of bi-weekly, to monthly because of the sheriff's office?
Yeah. Well, they could have changed back to monthly instead of going bi-weekly, forcing us to go bi-weekly. Monthly would have been great. We went back and just did monthly, just like teachers get paid once a month.
And how
We
do
would have
teachers-
none
how
of
do
this.
teachers survive?
They do. It's not always easy in that first month, but
You just adjust your budget.
you,
Well, I mean, I'm
exactly,
like, if you're supposed to have savings of a month or two. and I
exactly.
think we have
So,
employees that live
over the
paycheck to
years-
paycheck, and a 5-day difference will
Kill.
literally ruin
Mhm,
their life. I've heard
mhm.
the calls, gotten the calls, the emails, the visits.
When I started here, it was once a month. And I was fine with that. For me, it
But
worked
we
out
had
great.
a lot of employees that were getting in advance.
And then they had the draw, that people started taking a draw, which caused us problems because we weren't paying payroll tax on that draw. So that's kind of where we ended up kind of going, okay, now we have to go to semi-monthly. Semi-monthly works as well as monthly, other than it doesn't work for the sheriff's office or the jail or any of those rotating shifts like that. It's hard to calculate how much overtime and stuff. So that's why we're on bi-weekly, so we can do the 80 hours. They know it's this flat 80 hours. Anything over that 80 hours, it's overtime. It's
So I
easier
think
for them to
easiest way-
calculate, but harder for all the rest of us.
We start stretching out from 2 weeks to 3 weeks to
Mhm.
4 weeks and then monthly. Is that how you slowly?
Yeah, no, because I'd have to try to figure out how to,
That'd be a nightmare.
Well, no, I just don't know with your employees. How do you do it?
I don't
It
know,
would take a year of saying, we're gonna go, it would be great to do
transition into,
a monthly.
you'd have to find a time where it transitioned easier to go back to monthly,
Yeah, I
but
just
you're gonna
was
have a
looking
big
at
old
the
uproar.
bills.
Everybody's gonna be in just, it'll be terrible. Really,
And the reason it does not work for the sheriffs is because of their hourly setup, how, the way the work week works.
yeah, how their work weeks and shifts work.
The DRS needs to just work with us on late fees.
I'm sorry, what? They-
DRS needs to just work with us on late fees.
And, in the past they have, and then they stopped doing that as soon as, if it happens multiple times, they kind of, they want their money too. But we're working hard, and Felicity's getting better about trying to make sure that we get them everything processed. Of course, now we're once again short, which is my short an employee. That won't help us, but.
Are you rehiring somebody or do you have somebody out there?
Well, this is what I feel like we need to do. Is I feel like we need to change. I know we went through this at budget time last year. We changed one of our accountant positions to an accounting one, just to do AP and lower level accounting. If we take that change and change it back to the accountant, we can cover without hiring this temporary position. I feel like that will work because we've already trained Jamie. She's already doing like out of class work and helping us and doing the all the calculations and payroll stuff to help us out. We could utilize her in other areas.
But you would need to be an accountant too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And I feel like with the other position, if we don't fill it, we have enough to cover that difference in what her pay is right now to the new band and step. And ideally, in the end, the way I see it, I feel like if we have the two accountants back, the one AP person, we have two backups. Because Jamie can be the backup for payroll and AP, as well as Aaron can step up and help be backup to payroll and AP. So we'd actually have more coverage for both of those positions. since we'd only have one AP person and one payroll person, we need to have that backup.
If you want to submit something for, if it's an increase, it'll need to go through PMRT.
We are on this afternoon
Oh, okay.
at 1 for PMRT for that very thing.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
We'll be looking forward to it.
And then my only other issue is that we're going with HR on disciplinary actions for Mandy.
We're on recording.
I'm not supposed to say the name.
You can
Sorry.
say that, if I don't want any detail, unless
Okay.
you want to go into executive.
No, that's
session.
it. I'm done. And we're going on election billing. That's about what, that's a part of what, this is a small part of what we're working on right now. Good?
I don't have
Yeah.
it. I don't-
Okay, gotta go.
Good, thank you. We are in recess until 11:15, when we will be back for Fairgrounds update. Good morning, it's 11:15 a.m. and we are here for a Fairgrounds update with Jim McKiernan. Hello,
Morning, Jim.
How are you?
Oh, Jim?
great.
Fabulous.
How are you?
I'm good. Good. It was good to see you at the Economic Development Commission meeting. That was fun.
Sorry I missed your update.
Oh, that's all right. You probably heard most of it before. Kevin got to hear it.
I
And
came
thanks
out-
for reaching out, Cindy, for the invitation. I didn't know if you knew actually I was speaking that day.
Yeah,
So
I did after I sent it, so I was, yeah, they asked me to help work on
it was
it.
actually pretty well attended. I didn't get to sample any beer though. It's kind of hard to sample beer and drive 40 miles home. So, let's see. First, I have coming to you it's kind of an oddball surplus request. We have these old panels that from the old pig show ring that we were going to scrap because we have new pig show rings that you authorized purchase of 2 years ago. They have not been used. They're extremely heavy. And Jeff Silva reached out to me last year and asked about them. And so you're going to get this in consent, but it's a authorization to basically trade those old panels for him to do some concrete work. We're going to put a pad in out by the water tank for washing equipment. We're going to put in we have a hot steam cleaner and pressure washer that's going to get installed out there that we purchased last year. And then we can wash our equipment on a nice concrete pad and it drains into our large drain by the water tank. So that is going to come to you. They were going to go in a scrap bin anyway, because they're really not usable for anything else. And we haven't used them actually probably this will be the third fair that we have not used them. Any questions on that? Jeff's, in the letter for the consent, I did write, Jeff has done a tremendous amount of work for the fairgrounds, gratis, with no charge in most cases, and even gets us concrete for no charge, for numerous projects. So it seems to me to be a good deal for the county and a good deal for the fairgrounds specifically for cleaning equipment.
Oh, I think that'd be great.
Let's see, we had Rosalind start today. She's getting immersed with the fire hose in our accounting position, and so far she hasn't left, so that's a good sign.
Not lunchtime yet.
But it's not lunchtime yet. I have had an employee leave at lunch, not here at the county, but I had an employee one time not come back from lunch at a former business. It was kind of interesting. We are working on new tree locations. We have 30 trees authorized in the capital budget this year, and so we're looking at locations for those. We're going to probably put some along the fence line towards Airway Drive where that car came through, so that hopefully eventually that kind of stops any future cars. But also we've got a couple other locations that we're going to try. We were going to put them in Southfield, but this year with the new lighting project, we don't want to interfere with the ditching and running of electrical for that, so we'll work on that next year. Senate Bill 5098 is still in committee, which is the gun restrictions on the fair and fairgrounds, fairgrounds facility and fair. And the next hearing is on the 26th. I'll plan on listening to that, but it may get stuck in committee this year, but I'm sure at some point in time it's going to pass just because of the prejudice of some people towards weapons. And so we'll abide by whatever, is decided, but we're still not exactly thinking that's going to solve any of our problems. It wouldn't have prevented the 15-year-old from bringing a gun in. So let's see. Our two big weekends are coming up next weekend. These are our two biggest events of the year, Sand Cup and Barrel Days. They're our two biggest horse events, I should say. So we'll have 600 horses on the grounds each of those weekends, with a lot of those people staying all week. It has a tremendous impact on local restaurants, hotels, North 40, Sportsman Warehouse. A lot of businesses see a significant uptick in business for those businesses from all those people coming for Sand Cup and Barrel Days. I met with Kevin, you'll be excited to hear this. I met with Alan Haru on Friday and Tara from the Realtors Association. Believe it or not, nobody cleaned food out of that booth after fair last year. And it was the first time I'd gone in there.
No comment.
Kevin doesn't know these people.
Yeah, Kevin was smart and stepped away last year. So anyway, we went in there and there was a stack of burgers in trays, burger buns still in trays that had been obviously gotten into by some animal. And in fact, an animal was on top of the refrigerator while we were all in there, jumped down on the counter and ran out the door, scared the living bejeebers out of the ladies, especially. I even jumped, so kind of scared me a little bit too.
Was it a
It looked like
little?
it looked like a squirrel. I think it was a squirrel, but I'm not sure. I couldn't see.
Seriously? Or was it a rat? Oh my
Well,
gosh.
when you leave food in there, that's what happens.
Yeah, it had not been cleaned at all. In fact, the place was absolutely a disaster. You could tell the only thing that had been done is the oil had been drained out of the fryers, but other than that, there was still stuff in the refrigerator.
Food on the counter, like hamburgers on the counter.
No, there were trays of hamburger buns, like they
Oh,
bring from.
buns. Okay.
Yeah, so there was like 5 tall trays of. It was 5 trays tall of hamburger buns, and they had been eaten by whatever animals were in there. And then there was stuff in the refrigerators and stuff. So I told Alan that I'll check it next year. I check all the other booths. I just don't check the ones at the rodeo because
You shouldn't have to.
I shouldn't have to. But I'll just be more diligent. I did check the Kiwanis booth after that, and it was fine. It was clean. So we're going to do some small upgrades this year. We didn't put anything in the budget for anything significant, but next year I think we try to put a roof, just a pitched roof on top of that concrete like we talked about before.
Yeah.
And the other thing I asked Chris to do is check the swamp coolers, maybe put in one new swamp cooler on the end and then one of those socks down that, like we did in the Desert Artist building, down the middle so it's blowing consistently across the booth.
In the world.
That might help it a little bit. And then we're going to install a new counter on the 2 serving windows from wall to wall and then cut out where the windows are, just so that it's, that plywood, the health department doesn't like to see painted plywood in booths anymore. And you got those tables in there and stuff. So that way Alan said we could get rid of all the tables and everything. So.
Yeah, I hear you have a new health inspector. He's pretty rough.
Oh, I haven't met them yet. Hey, you know me. I can be nice to anybody. We'll work with them. The Azars booth. We're slowly upgrading booths. We'll get there. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed in some of those booths, but the Azars booth, it's getting there. We are having a tax sale the weekend of State Wasset. We decided to move our tax sale to that weekend just so more people have the opportunity to stop and bring stuff in, or which is in May. And then the only other thing, the rodeo arena is still pretty wet. We're trying to get that dried out for next weekend's Sand Cup. And I've also asked Chris to install new counters for the Kiwanis food booth because those counters are looking pretty bad. They're just linoleum over plywood, and they don't look very good. So we're going to do a little work out there this year, and all of our entertainment is secured for fair. We're in the process of, I think we've come up with a logo for the fair, and we'll be working on fair posters here real quick. That's pretty much all I had.
Sounds good. Any questions for Jim?
No questions?
I came out this weekend, but I didn't see you.
I wasn't here this weekend. Heck no. It's I was there at the Junior Livestock Show, which went really well from what I understand. They were very complimentary of the staff and the barns. And in fact, Buck McMillan from Best of Barrels complimented the staff from the prior weekends that I was gone. So I think the staff's doing really good. Zach, our new guy, is working out really well. So we're getting lots of compliments on the facility still and the staffing, which to me, that says everything right there.
That's good.
When did you come out? Saturday?
Yeah, I came out Saturday and Sunday.
So did you see Jim? Did he all calm down?
He wasn't there when I was there.
Oh, I think he calmed down. We had a good discussion, and so I think that his concerns were addressed, and I think we're back on good turf.
Yeah, he was concerned on the one of the things was cleaning the hoods, which I said I only knew what knowledge I know from other places. So,
well, evidently we're supposed to clean them twice a year per the inspector that inspected them. We're supposed to have them cleaned twice a year, although they will make an exception for the food booths that are used exclusively for fair. So Smulligan's and the Afraid of Lions are the only other two that we have that get inspected. And so, and we're billing back those, as a leasing organization, we should bill back to those organizations the cleaning fees. And so we're working on that process. That's not spelled out in our leases either, so we may have to wait until our leases are updated.
yeah. So other much larger venues, the concessionaire is responsible for the hood cleanings and inspection fees. But we're also doing, 3 times, 4 times what you do at Grant County Fair. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I think we can revise there's some things in the leases that we probably need to start updating. Those leases haven't been updated, I'll bet. They haven't been updated really since I've been here. They were reviewed initially when I started, but it's probably time as they expire to renew them, run them through legal, and have them looked at one more time. Other than that, I think that's it.
All right. Then we'll take a quick recess and be back at 11:30 for risk safety coordinator update.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
Bye.
Good afternoon. It is 1:01 p.m. and we are here for position management review. We have HR as well as accounting and Michelle Jadalin with us.
It's on behind my head.
It'll be on.
No, it's.
Oh, it's
Michelle, you can sit.
I kind of gave him a go over earlier about
Are you
the
plugged in?
things we wanted to do.
I am now.
I don't know how you guys know I started, so. We were here to change like I talked to you previously.
There's a code that you use, okay.
Is this the,
There you go.
We don't have
Okay,
the
so the
old
one we're
position
starting on,
number.
Michelle just talked to us about this one.
Yeah, this is the one I was talking to you guys about earlier, about switching we switched the one accountant position we had to a lower level. And we're finding it's not working well in our current situation. We need to try to change that position to an accountant position so that we can utilize the resources that person has to help us with payroll during, payroll, not only for Tyler implementation for long-term payroll coverage, and accounts payable coverage. And certainly, if
Is
we,
a person that's doing it, I mean, they won't be losing a job because of the,
no,
Newly.
we would forego that temporary position to upgrade this position back into an accountant position so that we can use that resource for coverage for payroll until Tyler's totally implemented, and then we just readjust and reallocate out where that person would be a backup for payroll, accounts payable, and do all of the other necessary things that we need done.
That's actually a reduction in your department of one FTE,
Mhm.
but increasing the wage and responsibility.
We already
to
currently
increase
have.
the duties and make them more complex for the
Yes.
one employee. But if the one employee can do it, I just don't want to I want to make sure that the employee that is currently there will not lose.
No, they
their
will not.
job.
No. It's not a temporary position.
Okay.
The one that we're gonna forgo is a temporary
Okay.
position. Yes.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Any other-
I am okay with it. Is that one of three?
So the benefits / impact reclassifying the accountant clerk position back to an accountant will allow for payroll backup as well as covering other duties that were taken on by the CFO. The auditor's office budgeted about $70,000 for 1 year in wages for the payroll assistant, which is a project position, as Michelle had stated. Reclassifying the accounting clerk one position to an accountant will cost roughly $74,000. I'm not backfilling the payroll assistant, those wages will go toward the cost of an accountant, which will result in a difference of about $4,000.
Or a little bit under, because when did Stacy start?
February 6th.
See, so we have another month there that we didn't pay payroll, and then we'll have it'll probably be almost a wash,
Yeah, these are.
really close to a wash.
These are budgeted numbers, not actually.
Right.
Would you all have a copy of the wage comparison? So identifying what was budgeted for a year versus what has been what the accountant, which is non-budgeted, and how much that would be. Questions?
It's one of the positions we'd have to go back and pay back pay, or is this a different?
Yeah, no, we would just move her accordingly into the new.
Okay, Kevin, we don't have to do retro, but maybe
Who's
next
the HR
week.
consultant? That's why I was checking.
That's usually how we like.
Jonathan is the HR consultant, however, Gina and I have been working with Michelle on this one.
You guys are in support of it?
The other thing that we had talked about was, because this is a change from 2024, that structure. And so one of the things that we had talked about was committing to this structure
Yes.
for the foreseeable future.
We're not gonna change it.
Makes more business sense to stay with two accountants, so we're gonna go back to that.
And you're in favor?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And payroll.
Everybody was nodding but you, so I'm so.
And back to Kevin's question, on the PMRT form, it does have an effective date of today, only because, oh no, I should have changed that. Today's not the start of the pay period. I thought today was the start of the pay period. It should be the 30th.
Other than the fact, the only other thing I will bring up is that we have been utilizing her since Stacy left. So we might want to back it up just maybe a little.
We did out of class pay for that time.
So that, yeah, I don't see that.
Okay, all right, then we don't need to worry about it. We
No,
can,
yeah.
we can move forward.
Yes, can I please add, Kate, Jamie's been really helpful. She's really competent. She can help me a lot. If we put Jamie to help me out, it will help me do Tyler, for you guys to Tyler. She already knows a lot of the position. And I would beg you guys, please. I would rather do this plan than get another new assistant, or we would be set back with training and everything.
Okay, no, thanks for your comments.
Yeah.
So the pay period, oh, that's payday. I'm just
Yeah.
looking at
We're in the middle of the payroll.
payroll, okay.
It should say the 30th. I'll update that for tomorrow.
30th, this should change
it
to
to the
30th.
30, yeah.
That's my bad.
We do have this lovely chart, so we can try to coordinate.
That's great.
So what day are we talking?
The 30th,
Perfect.
the start of a pay grade.
That works, yeah, I was gonna say, let's, yeah.
No, it is.
Okay.
Okay. Back for tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
That was painless.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
You done sharing? Oh, no? Okay.
Another one we're gonna do.
Are you ready now?
Yes. Okay, so the second request today is mail service clerk. This is proposed by Cindy in order to reclassification of the position to full-time. Currently, it's a .80. So, has it coming up? No.
Can you help me out, Rob?
I already did.
I did that on hold.
Are you back in?
The current position is considered part-time.
Okay. Let's see overview. Requesting to reclass a mailroom clerk from a part-time .80 hours position to a full-time position. On April 25th, 2024, this position was reclassified within the Commissioner's Office. Reclassification included a title change from communications clerk to mail service clerk and went from a full-time to part-time position, with the caveat that depending on workload, hours could increase to a full-time position. Current challenges, given the position is a part-time position at .80 hours, it is difficult to retain and recruit good employees. Increased need for, and I'm going to use air quotes, floater position has become apparent. This position may provide support to Commissioner's Office as well as other departments. Requesting details, reclassify the mailroom position, again, from part-time position to a full-time. Current band for step 2 for the person that's in the position, which is currently $3,336.10. The proposed remains the band and step remain the same. However, with the increase of hours, it would be $4,172. This is an $836.03 increase over a month. Benefits and impact. Benefits decrease the likelihood of turnover, which in turn decreases the expense to fill the position, to refill the position. Position will be able to assist Commissioner's Office staff with scanning light computer operations, filings, and other tasks. Position may be used as a floater as outlined in the job description and can assist other departments by performing general office assistance as requested to assist other departments in covering absences or to assist in special circumstances. Another example, performing general tasks such as unpacking, breaking down inventory boxes, assisting with preparing
current items for deployment to end users, data entry, scanning documents, pulling cable, etc. within the TS department. The hope is that this position will free up other staff's time for other projects. Again, I have the wage amounts already covered. That's it. Any questions from anybody?
Is this a vacant or this is Joshua?
It's Joshua.
Okay.
I did have a question. You said within the TS department, he's still getting paid by BOCC, unrelated? Okay, cool. And then.
Oh, just a minute. I don't think so. I think his salary should be broken out to whoever's using it. So
It would be, yeah.
if TS is using it, because TS has a budget.
TS uses a position for 2 hours, TS pays
Oh, for TS, okay, thank you for clarifying.
for that
Uh,
2 hours.
TS is aware of that?
Yes.
Okay,
TS
cool.
aware, but to make it simple, would it be easier just to do a breakdown right now and visit with Tom about it? So we're not billing.
It depends how you want to do you want to do it in payroll, or do you want to do it after the fact, move the funds after the fact, or?
Well, it makes more sense in my mind to pay it and then have it reimbursed from Tom's account to current.
Okay, yes, that would help, that would help payroll.
But I don't do funds.
I don't know how that works, Mandy.
Because how we do it, like Caitlin's, a portion of it is paid out of the commissioner's office, a portion tourism, a portion Board of Beak. So it's just broken down that we know. So I believe
That has to be done on the back end, because Caitlin on my side only gets paid out of BOCC budget, and so I think maybe that has to be somewhere.
Since TS is internal service fund and it's restricted in nature, if we do an upfront percentage, he has to keep track of his time and actually do 20. Like, so we say we're gonna pay him 20% out of TS, he's gotta support that with 20% of his time. So you could do either way. It's probably easier to do it when it happens, just for the fact that you have to support that charges to the internal
So I'm
services.
gonna just clarify this. Caitlin, when you get paid, does the BOCC pay 100% of your salary?
I think those ones are split.
They should be split. In my mind, they're split. In
I
the
mean, I
budget,
think they're
split.
automatically
Okay.
split. We
I
don't,
don't think in our system, oh, like on payroll side.
Well, so I
don't know where
think
it's
for
split on
like
the
2
back end.
months, she'll do like Board of Beak, and then 6 months, Caitlin. I just don't want any surprises, because in my mind, this is how I feel that it's going.
And I apologize for the ignorant question, but how would she know what's paid
Because she
out?
she submits her hours in the payroll, and Jerry used to submit.
And so when you submit time, she has to pick which fund?
So Jerry, like, when he was veterans, the first 2 or 3 months, veterans pays him. And then maybe month 4, 5, and 6, Board of Beak pays him, and then the rest of the year. So he just calculated, the budget was, he didn't keep track of hours, the budget was just based on, so he didn't split it, like it wasn't 70% Board of Beak, or 70% commissioners, 30, I mean, it was just for these.
I think that has to be done somewhere on the back end in payroll.
I'm asking Caitlin,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
not. Caitlin, are you on?
About an hour and a half a day.
I know.
So then when she does her.
Barb, are you available?
So then when she does her time sheet, is the theory that she charges different accounts?
Thinking here. They might be busy.
The theory is, no, they don't charge different accounts. They just submit their payroll, 100% for that payroll to
Is the time? And
Board of
then
Beak.
you charge different accounts?
It's not happening on my end. I'm involved in any splits, and all the only splits we have is in renew.
So they shouldn't have splits, it should be just 100%
It's
going,
100%.
coming out of
You guys
Board of Beak.
went on
100% coming out of, for that pay period.
I think that's happening on someone else's end.
So
or Big
let's
House
just say
end.
like, this is Board of Beak. Board of Beak will pay 100% of the payroll for here. And then tourism will pay 100% of the payroll. And then the commissioners will be paying the balance. So there's no split, it's just, that's how that's how Jerry did it.
I don't
So
know where it's happening, but I don't think it's happening on my end,
Okay.
payroll end.
So I just
I
need
think
to
it's
make
happening
sure
on
that-
the back end or the fund end. I don't know what's getting.
But with
I
the
don't-
transition, this is the only reason I'm asking.
Okay, no, you're
because
good. You're
We
good.
have been over budget, our office has, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. And maybe this is a component of
Yeah,
it.
and the difference between that is in payroll's world, Board of Inc. and Veteran Services are all considered the same exact 101 fund.
Okay,
And so like, I'm not in the weeds of it, but TS is a completely different
Okay.
department. So if we want TS to pay for a portion of his
we bill.
wages,
Okay.
either, it would be simplest for payroll if you guys do it after the fact and then bill
Yep.
TS and work with them. I could do it on the front end, it's gonna be more
No,
manual
we'll
work.
have TS figure that one out.
And I think Vanessa's a good person to work with anyways, because she's already used to billing out other people's, and so maybe receiving a bill, she can help you guys create a bill for TS and they can pay it and reverse that. Is it gonna be consistent work with TS? Or is it
It
just?
sounded like it would be,
Sounds
so
like it.
it would
Okay,
be, yeah, the split,
Okay, cool.
80-20 or whatever the split is gonna be.
I would prefer to go that route and see if you guys can work with Vanessa and see if you guys can bill after the payroll's run. If we
Yep,
can
I'm
just do all
sure.
of Josh's,
You can do that.
payroll, under BOCC and then after the fact, go bill with Vanessa and work it out that way.
So presumably this increase is just coming from TS?
Okay, cool. That's.
Any
it's like-
budget.
No. I did have one more quick, well, not
Oh, sorry.
question, not, I'm sure you guys already considered this, but I just want to be, just extra sure. As we move him to full-time, that means he's gonna get like the full-time accrual benefits and the full-time all the, okay, perfect. I'm sure you guys, yeah, already considered it, but I just want to make sure that once I get that part through, we're gonna switch him, everything. Perfect, thank you.
I will bring up, it might just make sense to make him 100% BOCC since we're supplementing tech services whole budget out of BOCC anyway.
Me current expense? Oh,
Yeah, current expense fund. I mean, of their $5 million budget, 3 million of it is coming from current expense. Just a thought.
On the payroll side, it's kind of difficult to decide whether this is compliant or non compliant, just depending on where the TS, it's out of processes to do this. It just requires probably more discussion on the back end. Like, I'm fine with it going through, it's just gonna be just a discussion and confirmation.
so there'll be just like, we could do it at the end of the year, just a transfer,
Yeah.
whatever that
Yeah,
percentage
that's what I
is.
would prefer, so
Okay,
it's less
so it's not
manual.
a
Yeah.
week or,
Yeah,
so I think.
it's
we have-
compliant with asterisks, I guess
Okay.
is where I'm
Fair
at.
Any insight from commissioners?
I am good with it.
I'm good with it, yeah.
I will talk to Tom and Vanessa and have them coordinate.
Yeah, and I can be involved in this,
Okay.
just make sure, because we can do it on the front end, I'm comfortable with it, we have a few options, it's gonna be a little bit more manual on my end. So the cleanest way is having her just bill,
Then we can just
having her bill you guys and do it after the fact, after payroll is run. But I'm here and cooperative if we want to work on the front end.
Okay. That's what I got for you today.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for any of them?
That's it?
A short,
That's
a short one. Okay. Well, we'll go into recess until 1:45 when we're back for a commissioner work session.
And I just want to point out the district's.
Good afternoon. It is 1:45 PM and we're here for our commissioners work session. Do any of the commissioners have any topics they would like to work on?
You know, I got a call about some dogs on Adams Road, and I think I left my other phone upstairs. Adams Road, kind of by Moses Lake, but I'm not really picking up dogs. So I tried to call him back and my phone wouldn't get through, but I will continue calling. We should look to link the.
I'm still working on that. Guys up in Fort Air that want to join a fire district. That's, I'm gonna meet them with them on the 21st of April.
Did you get the info for the LTAC in Ephrata? For the museum? If they can get the funding
Yes.
earlier?
Yes, that's already been taken care of.
Okay.
Did they get it?
Tom was checking to make sure that they put the sign in the right spot, so it's not encroaching, sticking out into the state highway.
But I'm talking about for the
As far as
funding.
the funding,
Yeah.
we just need to pay for it,
Oh, so we have to do it that way.
and then they'll get reimbursed right away.
Oh, they will, okay.
So we just have to
Is it quick?
pay for it initially, and then get it to the city,
Okay.
and then we get our funds back, and they can pay us back.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
That was for the museum, for that sign.
Oh, the museum sign. Thank you.
Yeah.
I heard road.
And I went and talked to him
I
about it.
thought they were misunderstanding.
And he went down there the same day. So I think we got that straightened out, but I haven't seen anything come back as far as, some paperwork for us to pay for it. So I don't know if we need to initiate that or he needs to do that.
I mean, he should do that, but we might have to.
So we might just reach out to him and tell him that we need his paperwork so we can get that payment made.
John at the museum.
Yeah.
Where's Gerald? I printed a calendar out there, 2 pages just for him.
I
Put it out
haven't
there.
seen Gerald today, actually.
Well, it's probably mad 'cause he's calendar.
Okay, so on our
Thanks for
pending
the-
decisions worksheet, coordinated entry 5-year plan, we have 6 consultants that have turned in. Just reviewing those. They were due today, have the reviews done. We didn't get very good response from the people we sent it to. So I had told Caitlin to try to extend it another week to see if we can get them, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 8 of 13 haven't submitted their thoughts, so it'd be nice to extend it a little bit more. Caitlin, are we able to extend it one more week?
Yes, we can do whatever you want. We have not given anybody a hard deadline on when we were going to have one chosen.
Okay, I would just do one more week and kind of see if anybody responds to your today's message. And then if they don't, we'll just go from there. But I mean, half of these people are our employees that haven't responded, so.
Do you want us to, we were supposed to be talking about this at the Homeless Housing Task Force meeting this week. Do you want to push that out a week too, or?
No, I just make it clear because half these people represent on that task force that haven't done the reviews. So I think even if we just browse through them during that meeting this week, I think that would be good. Get them a start on it. So.
Okay.
I don't have new stuff for that meeting, so we need to do something. So reviewing those might be what we do. Then we have Ephrata Family Dentistry. Tom said that he found a way to get that paid, the difference. Small attractive items, Mandy talked about those today. ADA access at County Museum. Don't know yet.
I haven't heard anything on that at all.
No, that was, it's all gravel, so it's hard for anybody that needs ADA to get around. So just looking at
Or
ideas.
paths and trails. I thought we talked to Public Works about this.
Yeah, I don't think it qualified.
ADA in the museum, but if it's a connector, and the museum and the fair. But maybe we did not talk about the museum. I thought we did.
We did.
We did?
Yeah, but there was a reason that it wasn't working out. Determine future work release building plans. We're working on that, getting bids for its value assessments, but hasn't gone well.
I haven't heard Tom talk to that last appraiser.
I think he did.
It was lower than,
Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
low.
but it's probably unfortunately, the correct value.
Safety committee plan. It's noted to give for risk coordinator.
I did give that to him.
Okay, and then morgue. I don't know any new stuff on the morgue.
Just waiting for Chris Reese to put that offer together so we can get it submitted to see if the sellers are interested in.
Okay, and then Tom is gonna meet with the Samaritan just to verify that we can stay after they depart.
Yeah, I haven't heard how that meeting went.
And
How's that meeting?
Quincy Hospital, they should be finishing up their construction. We should be getting invited to a groundbreaking here one of these days. And our course is almost completed. We have a week off and just another couple weeks, and then the 12-week mission will be done. And I would say I really didn't believe it would take about an hour. I thought I could squeak through and get it done a lot faster than an hour a day, and it is at least an hour a day. Because there's a lot of things, if you do the activities and the things they want you to do, it's taking a lot more time. I've enjoyed it, but it's.
You do it during the day or at night?
I'll try to do it sometimes during lunchtime here, or if we have little breaks. Depends if I get behind. If I don't get it, I try to do it during my lunch hour to at least get started, then 8 o'clock. My alarm goes off at night, so I've got to finish it. One time it was really late, and I'm like, this is not going well for me, so I try to have it done by 8 o'clock, or, set my timer.
Did you get my AI generated Western update?
You just put it in and it types it?
Well, I type it in and then it changes it all.
Can I read it?
I mean, I would love to. Can you put a little twang on it?
I don't know if I can. Howdy, folks. Welcome to the Moses Lake Roundup in Grant County. We're back in the saddle, bringing you the wildest, most adrenaline-pumping rodeo action in Central Washington. Dust off them boots, slap on your cowboy hat, and saddle up for a rip-roaring good time. Here's the roundup, where the thrills never quit and the crowd's always hooting. Join us for a night you won't forget. Yeehaw!
That's pretty, I love it.
Oh, God. I actually do really like it.
Nothing to get do a better one than that. Yeehaw. A rootin' tootin' cowboy.
See?
It's so government-like, the rootin' tootin' cowboy.
So, do the three of you want to put that along with the picture taken today and give to the
That works
rodeo?
for me. It'll go right with our rootin'
That
tootin'
one.
picture.
I'm good with it, Barb.
Okay. Kevin?
How's the picture look?
Picture looks better than the thing sounded.
Almost as good.
Actually, I'll forward it to you all.
We're standing back afar.
As long as our picture looks good.
Yeah,
That
who cares
works
what we say?
Grok, huh? I like him. He does a nice job.
Brock?
Grok.com.
Oh, Brock, I thought you were talking about Brock. I'm like, where's he at now?
Okay, picture sent to the three of you.
May 21st. You guys, we're almost there for the open house for the Quincy Hospital. Doors open, they're open May 21st, 2025.
Have they set the groundbreaking yet?
No, that's where I'm like, please let me know if they do. I haven't seen anything. Then this week I've got to meet with Bonnie to go over our itinerary for Tamaki and Toyama. Bonnie at the port. Very exciting.
Any other items?
Can't think of anything.
Okay, well then we'll recess until 2 p.m. Good afternoon, it is 2 p.m. and we're here for the Treasurer's Office update with Treasurer Darrell Pheasant.
All right, so Thursday, we sent the data to Master's Touch, we finally got PAX to fix it so we could send something to them. We've never had so much fun with PAX this year. Of course, this is new that we send things to the printer versus us create our own. And there's all these other PAX counties that do it like it's really easy. I don't know why, because we have a different version per Melissa that our version seems to not want to do the easy things that the older version seemed to have no problem doing. So.
Did you say they're working on a complete new program? PAX?
And they have a whole different program than PAX that the one guy says, yeah, we're going to put you guys are going to be all moving to that new program in a few years. So then, yeah, so our worst case scenario is the statements get mailed from Spokane on next Monday. We hope earlier. So then all the phone calls that keep coming and all the emails, just like we experienced last year, when we sent our statements clear up to the very end. So that's where we're at right now. Looks like we got all the things done by TS to start programming the server to hook our machine to our new check reader to process payments, be ready to process payments when statements come in with the special bars coding on the bottom, and with that and process payments quicker than what we used to do. So I also learned, well, there was an email sent from PAX to the assessor's office last week, pretty much telling them that the thing that I believe they wanted, the reason why they went to PAX, is not part of their mapping. Of which then that was very unhappy. Did she mention that in our meeting this morning about this big thing they cannot do? So maybe I'll pass on that email to you to show that things aren't so rosy right now, because this was a big thing because this was the question, why are these things of similar homes being valued way differently? And that one home would be valued correctly and the other home that has practically the same characteristics would have a totally different value. And their answer is that's just not part of their mapping program to do it. So
they have to go in and do it manually?
I don't know how they're going to do it. Yeah, they got to find all the ones that are wrong and manually fix them. And it looks like they're trying to find, well, what do we key on to get these corrected? And I don't think that was an answer yet, if there's an answer.
But that's a software people's issue then, right?
Mm-hmm. So not sure how BOE meetings will go when you have that problem. So things aren't getting valued the same, and that's a big problem. And PAX doesn't look like it's anytime soon that can be fixed. But I'll let you read I'll forward those emails to you to let you read for yourself. But this is not going to be.
Is this countywide, or does it just affect certain areas? Is it just new construction?
I don't, the history of this ticket is quite long. It was regarding two similar houses. And they just couldn't figure out why is one being valued at a different depreciation rate than the other.
And PAX couldn't figure it out?
No, PAX is saying it's just not part of their mapping for a program to do it that way. Which doesn't make sense. So I just got most of the data today on sales tax. We'll have our meeting tomorrow. We're above last year. We'll talk about how we're 7% for current expense ahead, but countywide we're 7% behind. So our countywide sales tax numbers are behind 7%, while our current expense is ahead by 7%, which means it's the cities that are dragging us down.
I'm sure that'll change as the summer comes along.
Yep. So, let's see, boy, 10 minutes. Yeah, we had fun working on a mobile home where the person bought it in 2003. They had an MSO, they bought it from Oregon. They used the farm worker housing exemption, but then they never bothered creating the title. Then right now we have it valued over $81,000 and they sell to this person for 95, which is pretty good on a triple Y for something that's over the assessor's value.
Where's this at?
Yeah, rural city area. On Jonathan Eiler's property, one where he built a near $1 million home on it.
Near $1 million?
Mm-hmm.
It's 14,000 square feet. It's a lot more than that.
Well, that's what the assessor's office had the value for.
Oh, okay. Then that's correct.
So, and so they're trying to get it off with this person, the son who bought it from his dad, never bothered to check into it. And then he's trying to pass the buck of not resolving the problem with the buyer. And they don't want it. And so then the buyer's buying it for farm worker housing. This huge triple wide, which they're saying is cheaper than doing H2A housing that say is a minimum 250,000. So is that correct?
What's he sell the mobile home for? You said 80?
He sold it for 95,000 with the buyer saying he's getting it for, and took the farm worker housing exemption and having, I don't know.
Daryl, you can't buy a house or build a house for, I was just looking at a double wide trailer to get it installed and it is cheap. It's a small, cheap double wide. And just to get it delivered, it was like 110. And then you still have to do your heat and air, your foundation, that was delivery.
So that's why we keep
So it's
having
a
all
great
these
deal.
mobile homes that are near destruction. And that's why they want to buy them. And then they say they're only just needing the thing, but then they're just building around the structure and putting out there for housing. And then so we've had people say they destroyed it and then we find out it pops up somewhere. And then, and so then it's still in their name.
We need to figure out.
And that's one thing is, I've been pushing Chris to create a change for his process in regards to placement permits for mobile homes, used mobile homes.
Yeah, they have to go to trailer lot. There's one in Rose City.
No, we have a lot of placement permits for mobile homes going in on private land, on regular land.
Right, but you also have to go through L&I.
If L&I is if it's pre 76 mobile homes. So anything that built afterwards, you don't. Except for occupancy, I don't know what the occupancy requirements from on a mobile home. Now, here's the problem is, we have mobile homes getting approved where they never do anything about ownership and they avoid all the payments of taxes. And I was pushing for the concept is we need to change our rules that if someone getting a placement permit for a used mobile home, we should see proof of ownership first before we do it. Because then they're not getting away with not paying taxes and never being resolved from over the next all these years.
Well, they should have a title on it.
I know they should, but we don't require it, and so it can get past them. So they'll do it, and they'll move it without a permit. And so then all the money that was owing on that sale doesn't happen, because we could stop it from happening by not issuing the permit without having that done. And that's what I've been pushing for years to stop it. That's where our leverage is right now. And that's why I've been pushing that change in the requirements of a placement permit for used mobile homes. So we don't have all these problems we have to fix way after the fact.
I thought you had to get a permit, because.
Well, they have to get a permit,
For the last
but
time I
then, but
had-
also they're not having to provide any proof of ownership. All they do is they say they own it, and many times they don't. So all I'm asking is provide a title. or provide proof from licensing that their name's on it. And if they can't, come back when you have it.
Okay, so back to the previous problem, because I will probably get a phone call if it's not going through. What is the issue that needs to be resolved on the idlers? Mobile home?
No, then I did my work trying to call the manufacturer. The manufacturer in Hermiston actually sold to Clayton Homes in May of last year. Somehow, like, the only solution these people had was getting an ownership in doubt where they do not get a title for 3 years. If they had, a existing original MSO, it could have been, they could have got their title now. But, and so I had to figure out, trying to find solutions because Mr. Eilers wasn't interested in their family's responsibility of not putting this person in this problem in the first place. He wanted me to solve it for him.
Because he doesn't
And
have
I
a
can't
title.
solve this.
Because he doesn't have a title.
Because we have a copy of an MSO. We made a copy of that in 2005 when it was brought in. The original, we made a copy of it.
Okay.
And then they still didn't go to licensing to finish the process.
Okay.
And so then we had on our system on TerraScan, thank goodness, all this information we
And
could
an
find.
MSO is a,
Manufacturer statement of origin.
Okay.
That comes from the manufacturer. So without the original, then you have the 3-year wait. And I tried calling the manufacturer to see, could they replace it? We have all the data
so
they
does
need.
the owner need the
Well, the owner,
new
the
owner?
new buyer had to just process it and have to wait 3 years because the
Okay.
owner didn't want to resolve it. He wanted to sell something that technically he did not own. He never put a title in his name.
Okay.
But it's just a mobile home period on placement permits. I just wish we could, whatever process it takes, to put that as a condition in our process. Somehow I was told it had to be fixed in the comprehensive plan. Really? Is that where it has to be added and approved as a comprehensive plan for this?
If you're changing the process.
We're not changing the process because they're signing a statement that they own it. Now all we're doing is asking for verification. So I don't think we're changing the process. We're just asking for verification. So I just love that to be considered before my office and the assessor's office has to do all this work, which is most of my office, do all this work trying to figure out how to find solutions for these things that should never happen if the placement permit was not approved in the first place. They had to resolve it way in the past. Because we're also talking about local taxes that we did not get out of that transaction. So, 2 minutes. Yeah, we just got a lot of phone calls. Also, Rob, is my meeting with you on Wednesday and where? Or is it with someone else that's named Rob?
Human Resources requested the meeting with you and Commissioner Jones. I'm not sure where it's supposed to be at. I thought that Jonathan had said that he was going to reach out to you.
Okay.
I'll reach out to Jonathan.
Okay, I just, I guess I could read the email again, but I don't remember seeing where it was gonna be at. I assumed it was gonna be in here, but I wasn't sure. Or if, was it everyone coming to my office or what?
Don't know. I'm just nominated because I'm with you this go round.
Okay. All right, so, yeah, we have something to talk about, and that's about all I have for this week's meeting. Next week would be me saying the statements are out. Now we'll start getting new types of phone calls.
Yay.
And
It's your
so,
favorite time when the payments start coming in, Daryl.
oh, we got payments coming in, so we also had title companies paying before I even declared taxes due on the amounts that are on the website that were wrong. When I told the tax to remove it from the website, and they didn't do it for 3.5 days. So then we knew people were gonna be paying over the wrong amount, and we can't apply partial payments. So we sent it back, saying this is what actually is owing, this was during the time period that the amount was wrong. And so, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you.
Anytime, Daryl, any question?
I think I'll go look at the thing outside.
Hey, Gloria.
Do you want to announce something next
I
week?
don't know if it is for sure. Is she for sure?
She did.
Cancel.
Okay. Well, then, we will not be having our 2:15 meeting with New Hope. It has been canceled. Good afternoon. It is 2:30 p.m. and we are here for our clerk's office update. They have not arrived yet, so we will stay in recess until they do. And if they don't show up, we'll be back. Now you have 11.
Here's an walking over really slow, so.
Hello, it's 2:34 p.m. and we are here for the clerk's office update with Clerk Kim Allen.
Hello. Thanks for coming. Cheryl came last week with numbers and we got our updated chart done. So this is all the same numbers that you had last week. It just looks prettier.
Oh, because we didn't have the chart filter,
We had an old chart that had, I don't remember what years, up to like 2018, I think it was. And so we picked up on this one with 19 through 24. So.
Well,
Anyway.
unfortunately, fortunately, our domestic, would that be? Down.
Domestics are just the disillusion.
Okay, so it's not
Our
violence.
domestic violence cases actually fall under civil,
Okay, civil would be,
so those are,
well, that's.
I don't have it broken down by each specific case type, but anyway, things are growing again, but still not back to where we were pre-COVID.
Criminals kind of hanging in there the same.
Criminal.
2019, yeah, it peaked, but then I kind of.
The last 3 years, but anyway, it's the same info, just looks different.
It's easy to look at it when you see the graph, so thank you for doing this.
Sure.
But juvenile goes up and down, doesn't it?
Mentally ill just seems low.
Well, our mentally ill cases, that's kind of a bad example. Because we don't, the only mentally ill cases that we file here are, they're called Joel's Law petitions. Because all of our folks that need help get referred to a different county.
Okay, because we don't have any in-house
We don't
or
have-
in-county custody.
Yeah, we don't have a facility, so I think that all of ours go to Yakima now, I want to say. I think Chelan County sends theirs to Yakima. Not every county has a facility, so the only ones we get are Joel's Law petitions, which is where someone has some sort of a mental illness case that they don't, that the family doesn't feel like something has happened correctly. And it's kind of their way of being able to ask the court to intervene if they feel like something else needs to be done. So we get very few of those. What's new?
How things go last week when you're out.
Say that again.
Last week you were out. How'd things go?
Good. Had a conference with other clerks in Leavenworth, and we had excellent discussions, trainings. Yeah, it's very good. It was nice.
I went to a conference last week also, and they had to have an entire portion on the difference between the county clerk and the clerk of the board. It was with a lot of cities, and they just didn't realize the difference.
Oh.
And it was like, thank you for clarifying. Not an elected official.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing to me how many people don't realize that the county clerk is also not Superior Court. That it's two different offices. And just trying to think if anything came up at conference that would be newsworthy to you guys.
The last time you had the situational awareness training, did you have anything like that?
No, we had a trainer from, I always get these mixed up. I can't remember what the name of our risk pool is. It wasn't our
WCRG.
risk pool.
Oh,
it was
WR.
The other one.
Okay.
And we were with her all day. She did 2 different trainings. One was on having difficult conversations, which I thought was a really good one. And the other part was, it's bad. My memory's so bad. Was so good, I can't remember.
I know, it'll come to you.
Huh. It wasn't as good as the having difficult conversations one, but she was good. She was a very good speaker, real straightforward, made us do activities and pay attention. Yeah. It will come to me probably in the middle of the night. Hate that. At that age, but my doctor tells
It's
me you're
today.
at that age. Where
It's just
things-
today. Everybody's a little off today.
I know
including
this
me.
weekend, it's probably because it's so nice.
I would
The
agree.
weather is great and we're stuck in here.
Maybe we got a carbon monoxide leak in the building or something.
You know, our filters used to, when they
Everybody's a
poured
little
up here,
slow today.
There's
the attorneys used to complain that our filter, but we have a whole new air system. A lot of allergies and stuff going through.
It is nice out there, except for the wind.
I'm thinking it's gotta be close to 5 o'clock, but I guess we're really close at 2:42.
Does anybody have anything else for Kim?
Oh, thank you for the numbers.
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, thanks for those numbers and the graph. It's pretty cool to look at.
Yeah. I can go next to the other pretty one that she brought you last week.
Okay, we'll go into recess until 3 p.m. We're back for Superior Court update. Good afternoon, it's 3 p.m. and we are here for a Superior Court update with Crystal Burns.
Hello.
Howdy.
Hi. So we are very busy right now with trials. We're doing criminal trials back to back. We have a civil trial going right now. We're going to start a dependency trial this week and then also a family law trial. So we are just booking it right now. Lots going on with all of our regular dockets and it's keeping everyone very, very busy, which is good. We're getting lots of stuff done. So that's
You're
really,
doing well.
yes, everything is
Your
going
staff's
well
good?
and yes, yep. We
Your
have
bailiff just started
yes, last week.
and it went smooth.
Yes.
And is he related? I had asked you.
Oh, I asked him after,
Is
he said no,
Okay.
there's no relation. Yeah, because that's not a very common last name.
Is he from around the area?
Moses Lake.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, but no relation. So, other than that.
Still there this week?
Yes, he is. I
He still
know.
loves his job.
I know. Right now I'm having him go in and watching the different courtrooms and whatnot to get familiar with what we're doing with. And there's a lot of
So he'll
deer
let
in
you
the
know who is
headlights
that.
look.
The most exciting courtroom. I'm like, I'm gonna hang out in this courtroom somewhere. Lively.
Well, yes, some are more exciting than others, that's for sure.
I'm sure.
Are you still doing WebEx or?
Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, we transitioned in October.
So if we were bored, we could just pull up Zoom, or do you have to, okay, so it's open to the public?
It is, yeah, we have all of our dockets are on Zoom. Trials we don't do on Zoom. So, but otherwise we do all of our other docket, our regular calendars on Zoom. So if you ever want to pop on, just on our website and get into any courtroom.
So I'll be pulling it up here and listening. It's like, oh, let's run over. It looks exciting. Let's run on.
Or
over.
come on over and sit in the courtroom too. Yeah.
You'll have to let us know when you got a good one going.
I'm
Kevin,
assuming
it's usually too late. By the time the excitement erupts, we're the last ones to find out about it. I'm like, what happened? The police were here. The ambulance was called. What happened?
Yeah. I know how that is. So otherwise, just the same old stuff that we're doing.
And your new employees working out?
Yeah. Everything is good. No complaints.
You had enough space for all of these new people?
Yes, we do. We meet at work. Let's say that.
Do you have any
Improvised.
new people you're going to be meeting in the future that we're gonna have space issues on?
Not that I can think of, no. With having a full-time deputy court administrator and then this full-time bailiff judicial assistant, it's really helping out with I felt like we were very understaffed for a while, so this is very helpful. I don't see us needing any more support staff in the near future.
So we can tell all the police departments to arrest people and bring them in.
Yeah. We're ready.
So we can not have drive-by shootings.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Any other
Yeah,
questions
nothing,
for Crystal? Crystal, do you have any questions for us?
I do not.
Okay, well, thank you for coming.
Yes.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Enjoy the
You
week.
too.
Weather's great.
I know. It's still a little windy out there, though. I'm ready for the nice weather with no
Sun and
wind.
no wind.
Yeah. I think tomorrow's supposed to be like that. So.
Supposed to
We'll
start
see.
getting nice for a couple days.
Well, hopefully your bailiff shows up tomorrow.
Yes. Well, everyone enjoy the rest of your day.
You as well.
See ya.
We'll go into recess until 3:15 when we're back with district court update. They have said they may not attend, but I haven't been confirmed. We can discuss other things.
I had to wait a little bit for the banger.
Good afternoon. It's 3:15 p.m. and we are here for a district court update. I don't believe that we will have an attendee during this, but looking at the agenda, security grant for the pass-through, position reviews, I don't know that one. Use of Moses Lake break room for juvenile court or youth services. I think they're good with that. I met with Judge Gwynn last week and he seemed to be supportive. He'd already gone and looked at it, didn't see much issue. I also met with youth services, 2 additional employees, and they were okay with it also. So that's moving forward slowly. They had a couple of requests, so I told them just to put them down on paper and then bring them to us. Have Swahil bring them to us so that we can kind of see what we can do for them, because some things have to change there to make it usable for youth services.
That's at the Wheeler building.
Yeah, but district court is okay with it. As of Thursday night, I think, whatever night that EDC was thing is when I went and met him afterwards. Yeah. So as long as nothing's changed since Thursday and Friday, I think everybody's good to move forward, but kind of want to get their
Looks like Desiree is.
word for it. Desiree, are you on?
I am.
She is.
I was just telling them that I had met with Judge Gwynn and with you, and you guys seem to be supportive of the break room change for youth services.
Yep, we're perfectly fine with that. The only thing we would ask is that that it be keyed, obviously separately or separate badge access. And during our normal operating hours would be ideal, just so that we make sure there's no access to confidential files, especially in probation.
Yep. So that was one of the things that I need to talk to facilities about. They had one of the facilities people were there and kind of told them what we were doing. So once everybody's kind of on the page, youth services say what they need, and district court kind of gives their parameters, then we can kind of work forward from there. But it seems to be going well and should happen somewhat quickly. There are a lot of things though when you move the offices. Number one, we'll have to move all the stuff and make sure the offices and the phones are all set up for youth services in those offices. So, but it's moving. Desiree, do you have anything you want to discuss in this update?
Yeah, so really my only burning topic is the courthouse security grant. I received a phone call last week from Jeffrey Felton, who's our kind of grant case manager, I guess you would call him. And we came up on a list essentially of grantees that have not had their budget cleared, have not expensed any money. And essentially he said we need to send him an emailed progress update with where we're at that he can attach to our case file. But we're in jeopardy of losing that funding because we haven't spent it. That's not always the case, but with the change in administration, the federal funding priorities may shift, and grants like that are sitting kind of stagnant, for lack of a better term, could be pulled and reallocated.
What do we do? I don't know. Last I heard, Tom had a architect working on design, but I think that's been going on for at least 3 months. So I'm not really sure where we're at. Do you have any new updates on that, Desiree?
No, the latest communication that I received is what I forwarded you and Judge Gwynn.
Yeah, I think they had something that was a little more complex than what we thought, and I'm trying to remember what. I don't know if there's a building. I can't remember. It had a little more time.
I did explain to him, that while my name may be primary on the grant, and obviously I was an advocate for the funding, I don't have any direct control over the building. And so we have to involve, multiple people, and that can sometimes slow down the process, but that, I had gotten updates from Tom. So he asked that we just send him something in writing, but unless we can really kind of get some things together and at the very minimum get that budget finalized, I think we're at a pretty significant risk.
Right, facilities meeting update tomorrow.
Talk to Tom about that tomorrow.
Sounds good. And if we all need to, kind of meet together just to figure out if there's anything we can put down to pass budget, I'm happy to do that. Just let me know.
Okay.
But that's all I had that was pressing for today.
Okay. Any questions for Desiree?
Nope, just write it down so I can make sure that's.
Thanks for getting on, Desiree. I'm sorry about your day.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks, and thanks for being accommodating. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Bye.
Go into recess until 3:30 when we're back for our public defense update. Good afternoon. It is 3:30 p.m. and we're here for, wait, time is it? 3:30? Yep. What am I reading? Public defense update.
All right.
Nice.
Well, not too much update. There was apparently some excitement in Moses Lake over the weekend, but
Yeah.
none of that's hit court yet. So we're waiting for that, but to see what we need there. But I guess the only exciting thing is today we interviewed with the rural fellowship program or whatever for the attorneys for the Rule 9 kids in the summer. We did 2 interviews today, and we have one that's all set for the summertime already. So we'll have at least two interns in the summer, and I guess a possibility of the third one. And I enjoyed the interview with all of them, so I'd be happy to do what they're able to do. Good news about that is it doesn't really have much budget impact on us because the state pays. They probably reimburse us, I guess, but the state will pay for that salary or wages for them. And so that's kind of good. They're second year law students, so they graduate next spring. Even if we can just get one of those to come work for us, that would be a boon. I know of a couple of attorneys that are in the system that are talking about retiring next year. So.
And would you call them a title?
What's that?
You refer to them as title?
I think we'd call them just Rule 9 interns.
Oh, Rule 9.
Yeah. And what that means is just admission to practice rule number 9 with the State Bar Association.
Rural or rule?
Rule.
Rule.
Yeah.
10 rules.
Well, it's the rural, the OPD, that's the name of the program, is the Rural Retention and Intern something or other.
Rule 9 internship.
So yeah, I am saying both of them.
Okay. Rule.
Yeah. So yeah, both of those are what I'm trying to say. The take on and the reason it really kind of works out is we do have an attorney who is scheduled to be out on maternity leave in the summer, starting in June. And so if they can come in, they can only do a limited number of cases, but they could take some of that relief, and then we could get one of our district court attorneys to work in Superior Court, get her some experience. So it kind of just, the timing of it just works out. If that baby comes at the right time, sometimes they have their own schedule. So that could work out. I guess that's really my one piece of exciting news. Other than that, it's we've been business as usual. Our new cases that we've been getting are fairly low, slow, however you want to put that, which helps us on our caseloads because it helps those settle down a little bit. Couple of cases that have come through in the last week. Well, 3 or 4 cases actually that would have been heavy cases. They retained attorneys. you know, and I don't want to say that's good or bad because we take what cases come to us, but they do help us with our caseloads when somebody hires counsel. So that was a little bit of a relief for us. And again, other than that, maybe I can answer some questions if you have any questions for me. Anything else?
The court system's working good, district court, superior court.
Well, I usually hear when it's not, so,
Okay.
and I haven't heard much, so it must be doing pretty good.
Continuing everything.
Yeah, no, yeah, we're happy with, you know, we're happy. I think Judge Clarkson, you know, she's getting things, how do you say that? Getting her feet under her, or, you know, whatever it is. But I've appeared in front of her a few times in juvenile court. Seems to be doing a great job, you know.
Is it moving smoother over there?
In
with her
juvenile?
In that position? No, just in general.
Um,
Because we always heard, you know, of the Nodell getting removed all the time.
Yeah, they're not really doing that. Not that I know of. I don't see that they're, yeah. Of course, she hasn't appeared on the normal docket, Superior Court docket, criminal docket yet. She started in juvenile. And I don't even know what the rotation would be, but they, yeah, she did a good job up there, you know. I mean, we haven't really litigated much, but, or I haven't. I think they did have a trial up there last week, and that sounded like it went well. So, yeah, so, yeah, other than that, yeah. I don't know, my hair's not on fire right now.
That's a good thing.
So I feel all right, you know. And that sort of thing. Yeah,
Okay, anything else for Brett?
not for me.
All
I'll
right.
try to think of something. If you have something that you want me to report on, let me know and I'll be happy.
You know, we actually like it when it's really quiet because.
Yeah. Well, that's the way I like
There's
it.
some issues.
That's the way I like it.
We get phone calls, we've got to come, you don't like to see us, we don't want to see.
Those, you know, those seem to come in waves, you know. Here probably a month ago, I just had people complaining about attorneys and,
We
you know,
had
and
the
it was
uncle
just.
situation, the uncle situation, I think it was in Florida, he kept calling. He was I don't know if he was a judge or,
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
I talked to him and I'm like, there's not a whole lot I can do.
I remember that, but it kind of went away.
Okay, good. 'Cause
I couldn't tell
he
you.
called multiple times and I'm like, I
Yeah.
really can't, you know, visit with you. I know we talked about it, but as little as we could.
Yeah, I kind of got pretty stern with him a little bit because,
When he quit calling,
well, because I
he
mean,
knew you could disclose information.
well, yeah, he knows that we can't talk about somebody else's case. I mean, he was a judge, for heaven's sakes, he knows. I mean, I don't, and that's kind of what I told him. I said, of all the people, you know that I can't
I think he was looking for
talk to you
special
about
treatment
that.
as a judge.
Yeah, so. But I don't recall how that turned out. I'd have to go.
Yeah, no,
I'd have to figure out what case it was. I mean, it all
it's
it all
kinda like
blends in
this,
my
yeah.
mind. It's all mixed up. Anyway, yeah, I don't have much else.
Okay, we will go on recess until 3:45. And we're back for prosecuting
Thank you.
attorney's update.
I'll see you next week.
We are now back in session with prosecutor Kevin McCrae.
Good afternoon, Kevin. Hello, how are you? Good. Great, I don't have a whole lot this week.
Good.
Try a week. If you guys got anything for me, happy to listen.
Yeah,
Rebecca's still
question.
sick, but
The Paramount contract,
which contract?
Paramount,
Paramount?
Rebecca, no, Barbara was looking at it.
Okay.
And it was my understanding, I haven't responded, I thought she said that the contract was between Paramount and South Grant County Chamber. I didn't realize we have a contract with Paramount and Grant County.
Say it again?
So they're filming down, obviously, in South
Paramount.
Grant County.
Gotcha.
Paramount.
Okay.
So I thought they just, because my understanding, we were talking to Barb a couple weeks ago, she's like, it's really not your contract, it's with South Grant County, not the county.
Okay,
So, and she can't give information because she's not
well, we wouldn't have the
our
contract.
attorney. So then Marvin mentioned, so I didn't read into this, this is where I'm dropping the ball. I guess Grant County has a contract with them that we need to review.
So South County Chamber sent 2 contracts. We have a contract that we use when people want to use county property. So
Okay.
I sent that to them. And then she also submitted a contract presented by Paramount, which they feel is better. We sent it to Barb Durbeck, and she reviewed the Paramount contract with, put a bunch of comments in there that I didn't understand.
Okay,
So my recollection is that it's because it's with Grant County and Paramount. They were thinking it's with South County and Paramount, so.
okay.
So we're thinking it should be 2 separate contracts.
Yeah, if it's
Be
2
honest
separate.
with you.
So they're using our property?
Correct.
They want to use our property? Okay.
And maybe it would be easy if I just had a meeting with Barb myself.
Yeah, if you just want to give Barb a call, I mean, I'm happy to
But
play
then
telephone here, but
If
yeah.
I misunderstood, even Pam
Well, if
Dorsey.
you want to give Barb a quick call and ask her to come down,
Yeah, her extension.
not off the top of my head, but,
Caitlin, do you know
if you
Barb
just,
Durbeck's extension?
or if you just dial 3950, it should get you to, and ask to, I can try her on my cell.
I think I understood one thing, they understood another.
Yes.
Laura, since Barb at the commissioner's office, is there any way you could transfer me to Barbara? While I'm on hold too, did you have any part in the ordinance that, Jim Anderson presented to the board this morning?
They did not. Barbara reviewed that.
Barbara did that too.
Yeah.
Okay. We were just wondering, because they signed it not on a consent, or they just signed it in his update.
Yeah, if it's an ordinance, we need to do, I mean, there's, if I remember correctly, we need to do a full public hearing for an ordinance.
Nope, that's okay. I will get a hold of her later. Thank
Okay,
you.
sorry.
Okay, bye-bye.
We told them to put it on hold until we make sure.
Yeah, my understanding is, that I'd have to go back and look, but for ordinances, don't we have to do publications in the paper and all that kind of stuff?
It depends on what type of ordinance.
Okay, it's been a while since I
But it
looked
sounded
at
like
it.
Jim let the board know that they did it before so that they could do it again, but we couldn't find an instance. So we were wondering what, and that they had gotten review from the prosecutors, from legal.
Yeah, we would have reviewed it to make sure everything looked
And
good,
that
but
they
we
said
wouldn't have.
it could be signed during his. So
How did we do the solar? Because I remember sitting in here while we did the solar
And
one.
that's what he's referencing, saying it was signed previously in an update, but when Caitlin found it, it was put on consent.
Yeah, I remember.
We've been trying not to sign things in updates.
Yeah. Well, I remember when we did the, hey, where are you? Oh, are you working or?
No, I emailed Rebecca and Jana.
Oh. Okay. Okay, never mind, sorry.
Okay, no, sorry.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. Everybody, okay, bye. Not right now. The commissioner just had a question. But we can talk about it tomorrow. Okay, thanks. Bye. So, okay, sorry. I guess she's out sick too. I remember doing the solar one. We had everybody out here. We did a full public hearing and Danny was like voting no and yeah.
No, but just, we will have to have a hearing
Right.
to move forward on it, but right now, just to kind of like start the moratorium, he said it can be, it's more of like a policy, like they're gonna go ahead and start, the commissioner sign off, not a policy, but somehow with they have the administrative authority to bring it to us, according to the PA's office. So I don't know if we reviewed it,
Okay, we need to review that.
but if we didn't.
Yeah,
then
we need to go back through it again.
And then we have 60 days to have a hearing, but I think our question was, can we start it right now? He seemed to think in his update, since it was on the agenda, but it wasn't
Okay.
fully, there's a policy, what did they call it? They didn't actually list what.
So 2 members of the board signed it, but then you gave it back to him just to hold. I wasn't listening.
He's probably moving forward on it. I don't know what he's doing with it.
Yeah, I believe we told him to put it on hold until we verify that
But he's been in meetings, so we
we
can't.
can do that in that order. He's out the rest of the day today, so we can't call him.
It was on his agenda, it was consideration of an ordinance.
Okay.
Oh, it didn't say ordinance of wind, solar, it just said consideration of an ordinance.
And so when he had emailed over the document for his agenda, it was the big paragraph saying what the ordinance was and quoting the RCW and everything, but it was not clear to me that he was going to be asking the commissioners to sign the ordinance in his update. So when I put it on the agenda, I just put consideration of an ordinance because I had thought that if there was going to be action taken on the ordinance, that it would be on consent or in a hearing or something like that. And I had talked it over with Barb and we had agreed that, again, we had thought that it was just a talking point, so we had put consideration of ordinance. Hi, Kevin. Sorry, this is Caitlin.
Was that you, Brent?
I'm not printing.
10 minutes ago.
So I would call into Jim to get clarification on what he was talking about, but I didn't, the board
No.
signed the ordinance, so we weren't sure.
Okay,
what
I'll
was-
double check it. Have them double
Who
check
that
it.
Jim had talked to, and
Yep.
Was it me?
just want to make sure we don't get in trouble.
Okay.
Probably is me.
Yeah.
Yep, I will double check those. So the question is, so Paramount wants to use county property. We need a separate contract versus the South Grant County Chambers contract.
And then we wouldn't have anything to do with that one.
Right.
Because it's theirs.
It's theirs.
That's when I understood that.
Yeah.
What they're proposing is that
Mhm.
this is the one Grant County was going to sign. So Barb.
Has
could
anybody
always-
actually talked to a Paramount rep?
Unless your office did, no.
They haven't yet.
Okay, I would assume we would need to talk to a Paramount rep before they start playing around on our property.
And so that's the South County Chamber getting a hold of Cindy and I,
Uh-huh.
and then I got a hold of Barb Durbeck. So it was a lot of,
Telephone.
then I went on conference.
Okay, we'll circle back and see if we can figure it out.
I was very confused by Barb's comments on the contract because I just don't understand the legal
Uh-huh.
stuff. So
Okay.
I didn't know if the board understood any of the legal stuff that Barbara had presented.
You guys can sit down and walk through
Well, I
it. so.
basically kind of stopped reading when I thought, well, it's not even our deal, so it's, you know, why?
Yeah.
So that's my fault, like I said, I didn't follow through on it because but there could have been 2 components and I was only focused on the one.
Okay.
That was my only,
So do we need to reach out to Pam Thorson on what her intent was on what she submitted? If it's for her, because she only emailed you and I, so,
well, I think our attorney would know if there's
I mean, her intent though, what was her thought? Was her thought to contract with county and Paramount or South County and Paramount? That's why I think that we need clarification from Pam.
okay,
Well, my question is, who's paying them? Or is anybody paying them, or are they just coming here to?
no, there, I mean.
I assume they would pay us, if anything.
Yeah, so they're kind of taking care of it, so.
I mean, if they're using our property, shouldn't they pay us? Or,
That's where I think there's just a lot of
Free
confusion.
roads are for the public.
well, okay, if that's all they're using, I don't know what
I don't
they're,
know what they're using.
I don't know what they're using, but.
Is, we can ask Barbara if she's.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think. But
No
we just
one's-
need,
Or Barb knows as much as we know because it's been Pam reaching out to Cindy.
okay, well, I think I'm in CC
And I
here,
was
so that's
just
like.
Okay, I will send them an email and ask them
So
to.
let me ask.
And then the whole thing with South County not being a Grant County entity, Barbara didn't want to copy them on the email. So that's when I was reaching out to the commissioners. Do you understand? Because we can't forward that to them.
Okay.
A lot of talk.
I guess we just need to get clarification from Pam,
What, yeah, what
what's going
exactly
on.
they're trying to do.
And then figure it out from there. That's all we got.
Okay, I will get on these things.
Okay,
Thank
thank you, Kevin. It is 3:57 and we are adjourned for today.